Okay, everybody, good evening. The date is August 17th, 2026, and the time is 7:06 p.m. I hereby call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida. We'll have Vice Mayor Gaines lead us in the pledge tonight and remain standing for the invocation provided by Pastor Patty Opperby from the Edge United Methodist Church here in Groveland.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here this evening. Gracious and loving God, we gather this evening grateful for this community of natural charm that we share and grateful for the opportunity to be with those entrusted to those who serve it. We ask you for your wisdom to guide the members of this council and all who participate in tonight's meeting. Give them patience to listen carefully, courage to speak truthfully, and humility to consider perspectives different from their own. May the decisions made here seek the well-being of the entire community, especially those whose voices are easily overlooked. Help us remember that behind every policy, budget, project, and decision are neighbors whose lives are affected by the work done in this room. When there is disagreement, give us respect. When decisions are difficult, grant us wisdom. And when the way forward is unclear, grant us discernment. And in all things, lead us towards justice, compassion, and the common good. Continue to rain your blessing over our city, its residents, and all the leaders who work each day to make this community a place where people can flourish. So may our words and actions this evening reflect a spirit of service, cooperation, and care for one another. In your holy name, amen. Amen.
Jenny, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Keith Kehoe.
Here.
Vice Mayor Barbara Gaines.
Here.
Councilmember Amy Jo Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Michael J. Cox.
Here.
Councilmember Stephen Chilkowski.
Here.
Interim City Manager Tim Maslow.
Here.
Interim City Attorney Richard Geller.
Here.
Sergeant at Arms Chief Sean Ramsey. Okay. Thank you. City Clerk Jenny Wright here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. We'll move on to guest speakers, announcements, and presentations. And we have several presentations this evening, all of them quite exciting. So I'd like to bring to the podium Beat Khalil to talk to us about the Avalon 2.0.
Good evening, Mayor Keith, distinguished councilmen and women. I'm Beat Khalil, originally from Switzerland. I moved to Central Florida a little bit more than 30 years ago. I reside in Avalon Park, Orlando, 3801, Avalon Park East Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32828. You may wonder why a Swiss, American-Swiss tonight is in Groveland, Florida. If you would have told me when I was in high school where Orlando is, while I was back in Switzerland, I would have probably told you somewhere in Italy or whatever. I had no idea, but as always, the Lord has interesting ways, and I ended in Central Florida, and I had the great pleasure to build a town where people can live, learn, work, and play in East Orlando. It's called Avalon Park. When I arrived there, and my great team, I have here tonight with me Stephanie Lorette. She's from Kansas, from a small town where people live, learn, work, and play as well. We're working together for 23 years. She lives, learns, works, and plays there. She raised her family there, and that's our team tonight. And what I want to say about our relationship goes actually back to the first quarter of 2023. And, you may wonder now what Osaka, Japan has in common with Groveland, Florida. But I tell you what, I was in Osaka, Japan as the president of a publicly traded company, and I got a call, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, because I guess it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Orlando, Florida. The caller was Dr. Neil Finkler, and Neil, which I know for many years as a member of the Advent Health Board of Directors, asked me if I would be interested to develop a project in the city of Groveland, Florida. And after we talked a little while, I said, listen, Neil, I probably would be interested to help the city of Groveland and you as the representative of Carabo International LLC, but maybe we should do that a little bit later in the months, because it's actually 3 o'clock in the morning, where you're calling me. Needless to say, he was a little bit surprised that I picked up the phone, but I did. But when I came back, we started to work on a vision for the city of Groveland. We arrived, we had a different administration here, and we realized that the city of Groveland was growing rapidly. We realized that mainly national and local builders were building a lot of homes, but we realized as well that what always our dream is, essential services are getting behind. We realized that there may be an opportunity to help to develop or redevelop a portion of downtown on the acreage which Carabo Commons, owns and still owns today. We approached the administration and had a dialogue, and after that dialogue, we negotiated an agreement, and that agreement called for what you see on the screen: 530 residential units in the historic downtown, 45,000 square feet of commercial space, 25,000 square feet of community center. We told the representatives, and probably have to say, Avalon Park in East Orlando is a small town. And I say that again, when I arrived together with my team, there were 100 cows in the 3-mile radius, so population 0. Today, the population is 60,000, and that's sort of like what happened in 30 years. It's a town where you can live, learn, work, and play, where we have 28 restaurants, grocery store, and I'm, the best example. This morning, I got up very early because I'm working with our office in Switzerland, and I walked from my house to a convenience store which is open 24/7. I later walked to the gym to work out. I walked across the street to my office. There's 28 restaurants around us. We have rehabilitation center. We have assisted living facility, memory care. We have doctors. We have just everything. And at some point, people are telling me, I haven't left Avalon Park for 3 or 4 months because all the services are here. And that's sort of like our vision where people, should live, learn, work, and play. Going back to the challenge here, we communicated to the government, to staff and council here. I was standing here a few years ago. Well, if we want to do this, we need the help of the city of Groveland. That led into that approved incentive agreement, which over time, and there's a discussion, we still believe it would have been valuable for the city as well, but would cost the city $25 million based on the calculations which we made. And then something very interesting happened. Mayor Keys got elected, and the first thing, or one of the first things I'm sure he did, was picking up the phone and saying, "Hello, Avalon Park, I'm the new mayor, and I like your project, but unfortunately, our small city, is maybe not in a position to honor that incentive agreement. Would I probably honor it? It's probably not in our best interest. Can we talk?" I kind of felt, well, look, the ink was just dry, and we're always up to talk, and came over to Groveland several times, and we always had lunch, and it was always delightful, and we started a dialogue, and we kind of both realized, the mayor realized, and I realized, hey, we could now insist that we develop this project in downtown, but the infrastructure is challenged, roads are challenged, the incentive package was so big, and in the dialogue we came to the conclusion, let us look in a bigger picture to Groveland. The mayor rightly so, I would have done the same, said, hey, can we renegotiate certain parts? And that led to what I would believe, a wonderful dialogue where we say, no, let's not just kind of like going back and forth. Let's look what are the needs of Groveland at the moment. What could we do? And we came together up with an idea. I asked the mayor, look, do you have something else than, money, which you don't have, apparently, when I looked at the balance sheet for us. And we found a way. There is this site, Sampi Road. It's a 34-acre site. And the idea was then to say, hey, look, let's look at the whole picture. And we said, how about this? If downtown is not ready to consummate a project of that magnitude. And I always say, it's approved. We have an approved PD, we have an approved incentive agreement, it's all approved. And so it's, from that point, it's probably, if we would be some publicly traded company, we would have to probably say, hey, look, sorry, our shareholders expect us just to do that. But because the Finkler family are kind and long-term thinking people, Avalon Park Group is as well, we came to the conclusion, how about this? If we look at downtown, but we look at Sampi Road. First step, let us maybe look into if we can exchange this to property, because downtown is not ready, but Sampi is ready. And when we realized there is plenty of people who are building homes in Groveland, but what's missing are essential services. So we came to the conclusion, let us do this, but let us do this in a process where we will do a workshop, where we'll do appraisal. And I'm not sure given my age, somebody who says time is not our friend. So my goal would be to do this in the next 4 months, start to work with you all, with Tim Maslow, which we knew in the whole process. And Tim has been very helpful. He has been several times in our office and looked at what we did there. And that's always for us the blueprint. And that I have to tell you, if you want to know who we are, visit us in Avalon Park in East Orlando. This lady here, she grew up here, and now she represents, what do you represent? Keeping Groveland honest, so, and she's from our neck of the wood. So come to Avalon Park, Orlando. We can explain it to you. You can come to my office. You can call Stephanie, you can call me, you can call Ross Halley, and we show you what we did there. It's not the same scale, but it's the same concept, live, learn, work, and play. So our idea is actually to say, instead of 530 units, we only want to build 94 units. But on top of that, and most important for you, we want to bring you a medical component with an urgent care center, an emergency room. Presently, we are dialoguing with 7 larger organizations. And in this business, it's always, we will not release any names. And even if the media will ask, we're talking to them all who would, be our partner in this. At Avalon, we're famous for our schools. In all the Avalons combined in Central Florida, we have 19,000 student stations. And interestingly enough, out of the schools, almost all are A schools. We have 2 blue ribbon schools. So education is something which is very important for us. So we want to build an education center there at Sampi Road, which doesn't stop just in the K-12 education, because I'm a big believer, being from Switzerland, the secondary education is very important. It should be seamless. People don't necessarily should drive out from Groveland to East Orlando to do something. It should be, not everybody is, it's the right path to go to college. So I'm a big fan of vocational education. That's what we want to do here in the academic village. We don't want to, leave downtown. So this partnership, as I would call it, probably not legally, but what we are doing in spirit, we are talking to a hotel group who is interested to bring a hotel to downtown, restaurants and art and culture gatherings. I, truly believe as well, and this is something which we already talked for a long time, you have a beautiful historic train station which is owned by our partnership now. We will dedicate this train station now, in the next weeks to come. It can serve as an additional plaza, and the train station goes back, to Groveland. With that in mind, I believe, our total investment for all of this will not be overnight, is calculated about as $200 million with the components, 94 single-family homes, 2 healthcare facilities, an academic village, a hotel, and a mixed-use building. And for people who are not so familiar with mixed-use building, we do them every time we go somewhere, and even at times where people believed, wow, that will not work. For us, it worked all the time, and it's generally where you have retail on the ground floor, you do residential, above, and if you visit us in Avalon Park, you will see those buildings live in action, fully rented. Some we own almost a quarter century, and that's probably a little bit the difference between us two. When we build towns, and I sometimes say we are not developers, we are town builders, and the difference is the following. We don't just buy land, develop the infrastructure, convey the parcels to somebody, national builders, commercial developers, etc. No, we generally retain important components of a, as we call it, town, so which aligns us with the residents. In Avalon Park, Orlando, we own most of downtown Avalon Park, many of those mixed-use buildings, dozens of restaurants, etc. And that aligns us with the residents. We wanted the same, great town with great schools, great infrastructure, functioning roads, no drainage issues, no crime or low crime, and they may say, well, you want to do that your rents are high, and we're saying, yeah, that too, but we're aligned with the residents. I believe, the next steps are laid out as a working session. Today, you have to all understand, there's nothing to vote about, but Mayor Keys and I felt we should present this before we go into the working session, due diligence, and this process, non-binding term sheet, downtown vision, I think, this is what we would like to do. I mean, look, we watched Groveland for quite a while now, since that phone call while I was in Osaka, Japan. We watched Groveland before. I was here 25 years ago, was at the Amway Villa or whatever it was called, and we looked actually at large tracts here. I always felt it's interesting. We're developing in North Tampa. We have a town in North Tampa called Wesley Chapel. We kind of felt between here, Tavares, Daytona, East Orlando, sort of in the middle, So, and I very often drive State Road 50 through the forest down to Pasco County, going through Groveland, going to one of those many gas stations to make sure that I don't get stuck in the forest on my way to Pasco County. We operate a lime rock mine over there in Pasco County, so I'm not a stranger to Groveland, but I'm honored that we can present this tonight. I think, the city, in my opinion, is at the inflection point to do great things, and we're ready and willing to work with you. And this was our proposal, which Mayor Keys and I discussed, and I want to thank Mayor Keys for working with us. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a good night. God bless you, and hope we'll work together.
Thank you very much. We'll have questions and some discussion towards the end of the meeting on this, back towards the agenda.
Don't want to take over, but if you have questions now, we're a little bit on a tight schedule because it's still a long way to East Orlando. Tomorrow is a heavy day. If there's questions now, I would take them, if that's okay, Mayor, or...
That's fine. If they'll go on for a minute, I'm sure.
Oh, no problem.
During presentations, we usually don't. We'll pick it up at input at the end.
Yeah, but if you're not there anymore, that would be a little bit the problem.
That's fine. I mean, we'll send you any, that we need to send you on that.
Okay,
I just don't
that's
want to
great.
hold you
That's
up.
great.
I appreciate it, though.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, we'll comment. We'll have comments at the end of the meeting for all of us. Now we'll move on to Community Health Center overview. We got health and health here.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for the invitation. Members of administration, council, guests, great to see everyone. I am Dr. Deborah Andre, President and CEO of Community Health Centers. Our mission is to provide quality and compassionate primary health care services to Central Florida's diverse communities. And I know you just heard the gentleman speak before me about bringing 2 healthcare centers to Groveland. Well, I've got news for you. We've been here since 1978, and we've been serving everyone: insured, uninsured, Medicaid, Medicare, and private insurance. We did it for almost 50 years now. So we are here, and we have capacity to expand, and we're doing that around Epic in the Universal area in the model that he described, where they have retail on the first floor and residential areas on 2 through 4. So we hope that if this project comes to life, you invite us to be a partner, and we're happy to work with all hospitals as we already do. So again, we were established way back in '72, came to Groveland in '78. We are a federally qualified healthcare center that helps us take care of everyone. We have 16 locations around Central Florida, and again, we offer a sliding fee discount program to your neighbors, your friends, those who are in between insurance programs, and we don't refuse care due to inability to pay, as some other programs do in the area. We also, at some of our locations, have Saturday and evening hours. Of course, I report to a board of directors. We are a nonprofit, and we have several departments that help organize all of those locations that you saw earlier. Our services offered are family medicine, pediatrics, dental, optometry, behavioral health, OBGYN, internal medicine, lab, x-ray, and pharmacy. So if you didn't know about us, you do now. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. I know Mayor Keogh and Vice Mayor Gaines were just out for one of our partner ribbon cutting ceremonies, where we offer some supplemental services with Advent Health, which is usually what we like to do. Where we don't already do something, we partner with our great hospital systems in town. We also offer telehealth medicine services. I know the one gentleman in Groveland, he drives to our parking lot and calls us from the parking lot. Not exactly what it was designed for, but we are happy to serve in any way that the great residents of Groveland want to be served. We also will fill a prescription in person. We can mail it to you at no cost to the patient. We will also mail you your glasses if you don't want to come back in and pick those up. We serve a total of 66,000 patients. 4,000 of those are from Groveland. Last year, we did over 234,000 visits. We are one of the largest healthcare centers in the nation and in the state. And as you see, we are one of the few folks in town doing dental visits. I promise you, the major hospital systems are calling us to get the patients out of their emergency rooms and into our dental department. We fill many, many prescriptions in-house, over 350,000 last year. We see everyone, all races, all genders, all backgrounds. Again, if you know where 50 is, right? Groveland is on one end of the world, Bithlow's on the other. We serve both ends of that world, and then north and south, 2 counties, Lake and Orange. This is the beautiful Groveland Center that your mayor and vice mayor have toured and supported over the years, and we thank them for that. They wanted us to remind you all that that is available. Look how beautiful it is. Second to none, world-class healthcare. This is our pharmacy. These are some of our interior exam rooms. I've worked there myself. I'm also a pediatrician. This is mayor in there and vice mayor seeing one of our partners with Advent Help. They help support our breastfeeding initiatives and our prenatal education. Again, this is just broken down by Groveland, and we already talked about that. This is one of our other centers in Lake County, a little bit bigger. Some of you are familiar with Four Corners. This is a new development that we're building in Catchlight Crossings. Out by Epic, the new Universal Park, exactly what this gentleman described: housing, education, healthcare. So we're very familiar with this model. We're able to replicate it anywhere, and we are already ground up in this location. So we would love to partner. We also train our own, so folks that work for us. I know one gentleman here tonight told me his daughter works in our Groveland location. And I told him, look, she can become a medical assistant. We pay the cost of that tuition. If they've worked with us for 6 months, we will train them to skill up in the community. This is our dental resident training program. There are 500,000 people in Central Florida alone that need a dentist, and there's not enough dentists. We are growing dentists for this community. And we've been doing it over 45 years at that location. We also believe in education. We give books to all newborns through age 6 through a Reach Out and Read program. I know the mayor and vice mayor got a chance to see that. It's in the patient's own language and culturally and developmentally appropriate. We visit moms and babies at the hospital. Our OBs deliver them, and then we go back in. I used to go there as a pediatrician and see the baby, but the ways of the world have changed, so we send an outreach team in. This is just some of our team members. We have a very busy community making babies. At each hospital, there's over 15,000 deliveries, so 30,000. The only one delivering more babies than that is Emory. So when you talk about growth, as you just heard, this is a growing community. We round with all the hospital teams and work well with all the systems. We are tried and true over our almost 55-year history. We also do many outreach services with our farm workers, which is where our Groveland site originated, from folks interested in serving our migrant seasonal agricultural population, which we still serve today. This is some of our outreach activities. And we have many, many collaborative relationships. I'll just name a couple in Lake Technical College, Lake Cares Food Pantry, Lake County Healthcare Tax Force, Lake County Department of Health, and so on and so on. We have been here a long time. We have focused branding and marketing and geofencing and all those fancy things our marketing team does in multiple languages. You might have also seen us on Channel 13 this past weekend talking about vaccines. This is what we looked like in COVID, and we are glad to be through it, and we certainly don't minimize that effect on the community. So we offer extraordinary care. We wanted you all to be aware, and a good reminder, please use our services. It's very affordable, and it's excellent, extraordinary health care. Thank you.
So I might have missed it, but a full pharmacy there, right? I mean, it's amazing, the pharmacy you have there, and the prices are unbelievable. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. And moving on to Coercive Control Advocacy and Awareness Group is here tonight.
Welcome. Thank you, council and community. Thank you.
Hello, members who I haven't met. I'm Angel, and this is Julia. I am a survivor of coercive control and domestic violence, and Julia founded I Am a Safe Place, which is an anti-domestic violence organization. And we were so lucky to meet with the mayor the other day, and he invited us to share about this topic. Because a lot of people are aware about domestic violence, but they don't have any clue about what coercive control is. So today we are just kind of giving some information, and we do have a little proposal that we've spoken to the Groveland Police Department about as well. Okay, so what is coercive control? It is a pattern of intentional ongoing behavior designed to exert power and dominance over another person in an intimate or family relationship. Coercive controlling behaviors go beyond isolated incidents of physical violence to include a broad range of tactics that systematically restrict a person's autonomy, independence, and decision-making over time. Some of the signs are isolating the victim from their support system, micromanaging, like telling the victim what they can wear, where they can go, what they can do, restricting finances, so taking away access to money, monitoring financial transactions, even going so far as to prevent the victim from securing employment if that's what the abuser chooses. Humiliation and degradation, repeated insults, belittling, comments that make the victim feel worthless. Psychological manipulation, which there's a common term that most people have heard of called gaslighting, which is where you try to distort or deny reality to make someone doubt their perception. And actually, fun fact, I actually did some research about this, and that same tactic is used in military torture operations. So that's why I said this domestic violence and coercive control really should be a crime. Okay, so threats and intimidation. This can be threatening a loved one, threatening a pet, threatening to hurt. Let's see. Oh, and surveillance. So using spyware or excessive questioning to track a partner's movements, activities, communications. So those are just some of the signs. And then how does this impact us? Survivors have extreme issues with mental health. Some even rely on substances, and others have suicidal ideations or even some attempt suicide. So obviously, our community health centers do behavioral health, so that's a great resource for them. It affects the economy. So like I said before, people who are under coercive control are either prevented from seeking a job, or they're forced to work a job while their partner stays home and then they drain all the money. It really is just, it creates a sense of instability in the economy. And also, a lot of people who are in the situation and try to leave face homelessness because they don't have financial independence. And law enforcement. So the way it affects that is a lot of victims try to report these crimes, but because they are not in the domestic violence statute, they are brushed aside or ignored. And so then it leads them to mistrust the authority. And then they don't have anyone to turn to when the violence does happen, or they fear that they won't be believed. And of course, lack of enforceability, because as I said, domestic violence is a crime, coercive control is not. So it kind of ties the hands of the police officers when they're called to a scene. When someone is experiencing coercive control, they don't really have any way to enforce it. And then the last, but certainly not least, is our children. People who grow up in a home with domestic violence, either there's one of two ways it can go. They either grow up to perpetuate that violence, or they often become victims. In my situation, I grew up in a domestic violence household, and I ended up in one. My mom was raised in one, my grandmother. So we're talking 4 generations of people, all from one person who started the abuse.
So why do we need this? The current laws in Florida recognize the following forms of abuse: assault, battery, stalking, kidnapping, false imprisonment, and sexual battery. The key things that I want to point out are the statistics. Domestic violence is not simply a family issue, it is a crime. In the United States, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men are victims of domestic violence, and this is just what's reported. An average of 20 people in the United States experience intimate partner physical violence every minute. So just calculate that all the time that we're up here talking how that result is. So this translates to more than 10 million abuse victims annually. And I just want to say the statistics that I grew up in a dysfunctional home and was abused by my father. And also, 7 years ago, my daughter was intentionally run over by a car by her ex-boyfriend. So it is a crime. And if we would have recognized those coercive control signs, this stuff would have been prevented. So what can we do? We are advocating for legislative changes regarding domestic violence and coercive control. Creating a Groveland Police Department Domestic Violence Task Force would authorize development of a Groveland Domestic Violence Task Force, creating a multidisciplinary advisory board focused on prevention, education, resource coordination, public awareness, and domestic violence survivor safety. Next month, as you mentioned, is National Suicide Awareness is next month, right? And then we have October coming up. Well, this is all related, and this would function as a survivor-centered community response that complements, not duplicates, it would complement existing domestic violence services and helps identify and address those abuse before it escalates. And I just want to note that I Am a Safe Place partners with Haven. Haven actually calls us for help because there's no room. So I just wanted to point that out of what we can do. We're trying to do more.
And so Julia already mentioned the task force. Inside of the folders that we gave you guys, there should be a proposal drafted and also some legislation, like a template for the city attorney to review as well. Now, of course, these are just templates and ideas, that, somewhere to give you a starting point. We would be happy to change or discuss or amend those in any way. And then actually, we were speaking with Mayor Keogh about this last week. We are going to, one of the items on the Groveland delegation is going to be advocating to get coercive control in the domestic violence statute. So the domestic violence statute would say exactly what Ms. Julia said with all the crimes. In addition to that, it would add coercive control, because like we said, oftentimes coercive control is domestic violence, and it leads to, it can, in severe cases, can lead to homicide. So we're all about prevention. And then the other thing that we're working with is to create a domestic violence database. Volusia County just rolled their, I think they're set to launch next month, so it hasn't officially come out yet. But Tennessee has a similar one where basically when someone commits a crime, it gets input into the court system and then directly transports so that people, the public, I mean, if you have someone working in childcare, if you are a woman who's dating, if you need to hire someone to come into your home to take care of your elderly parents, you need to know if this person has a history of violence. So this registry would be a way for people to be aware and to hopefully prevent these crimes from happening in the first place. Okay, so we talked about that. Okay.
So the community benefits is very clear, but it would really, most importantly, it would improve victim safety through earlier intervention. It would strengthen collaboration among law enforcement officers and healthcare facilities and schools and faith organizations, as well as advocates. The education and spreading awareness of non-physical abuse will serve as a preventative measure. It would reduce the long-term cost of domestic violence, and then it would position Groveland as a leader in a survivor-centered public safety initiative.
Then the last thing we have here is just a couple of slides with our contact information. If anybody in this room has been a victim of domestic violence, I have a QR code you can scan, because when we are going to do the delegation, we would like to have some, I'm getting tongue-tied. We would like to have some statistics to present to them from our local community to say, hey, this many people in our area have experienced this. This is it proves how big of a problem it is. So if anybody wants to scan that QR code, then you can fill out the survey. I think it's 10 questions, so it's not super long. And then Miss Julia has her I Am a Safe Place, which her office is right here at Edge Memorial Church in Groveland, so she's very local. And that QR code takes you to her website, so if anybody wants to scan that to get in touch with Miss Julia. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you. Next, we have the Lions Den Mentorship Youth Workforce Development Program partnership with Butcher Block Kitchen. And I know that our Vice Mayor wants to say a few words, and while she's saying a few words, I think I saw Robin Hughes in the audience and could come up and explain a little bit about it. Madam Vice Mayor, would you like to?
Should she explain it before I say it?
Okay, you should explain it before the Vice Mayor comments.
Sure. All right, let me get my notes. All right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and city staff, families, and community. Daniel is going to share a little bit about Lions Den Mentorship, Inc. So I'm going to focus on the Workforce Development Program.
Mayor, can we have the name of the speaker before she gets into her
sorry?
presentation? Can we have your name for the record, please?
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
My name is Robin Hughes. My address is 15733 Pine Siskin Loop, Mascot, Florida, 34753.
Daniel Hughes, same address.
Daniel is going to share more information about who Lions Den Mentorship, Inc. is and the work our nonprofit does. So I'm going to focus specifically on this workforce development program and what it meant to us. When we created this program, we didn't want to simply teach young people about having a job. We wanted to give them an opportunity to experience what having a job actually requires. Through our mentorship program and our partnership with the Butcher Block, our youth were placed in real working environments with real customers, with real expectations and real responsibilities. They learned customer service, teamwork, communication, time management, professionalism, accountability, and how to receive instruction and correction. Most importantly, they learned the value of showing up and completing what they started. So tonight, we celebrate 3 people who successfully completed 65 hours of the program, 65 hours each. Soraya Jones, Anthony Brooks, and Ashton Grassi. Ashton was unable to be with us tonight, but we certainly don't want his absence to diminish his accomplishment. I ask that when we begin to present the certificates of completion, if Mayor Kehoe and Vice Mayor Gaines, if you guys would be willing to accept his award on his behalf, that would be amazing. I also want to thank Butcher Block. They did more than just support young people. They opened their doors, their business, and they gave our youth a place to learn, grow, make mistakes, receive guidance, serve customers, and become better because of this experience. What this was a real community partner, what real community partnership looks like. If one Groveland business can impact 3 lives, imagine what we could accomplish if 5 businesses opened their doors, and then imagine 10. There are young people in our community who simply need someone willing to give them their first opportunity. And to the city of Groveland, thank you for recognizing their accomplishments and helping us show these young people that their hard work matters. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel, who is the president of Lions Den Mentorship, Inc., just to give you guys a brief overview of our nonprofit.
Good evening, council members, City of Groveland. Lions Den Mentorship was a mentorship founded through my belief that, again, all youths deserve a second chance, and regardless of their circumstances and what it is that they've been through home life, that they are enough for success, okay? Just by simply believe. This was a mission, a dream that I had from a young kid growing up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which was plagued by violence and, again, just not having the resources that, again, a young man or woman, regardless of skin color, needed that mentor. Again, I started my career working with youths in 2014. I moved to Florida in 2012, and I work at the Innovation Charter School where, again, from what I wanted to do as a kid, I got the opportunity to work in the school system. I have been working with youth since then. I started off as a security officer, and just basically as kids got in trouble, you know, the anger and all the stuff that they needed, again, you had to calm them, bring them back down to attention reduction, and all of that comes with patience and just basically explaining to a kid that, okay, you made a simple mistake, we can work past this and we can move forward. And it just continued to grow my passion. Today, I can tell you I have worked my way up from just being a security officer to now being the assistant director, the dean, and the safety officer of that school where I run the day-to-day function. Again, I want to basically what I imply in this mentorship is that you can come from a small place, but you can have big dreams and you can accomplish it regardless of whatever obstacles is set in front of you. So again, this is a mission that is set forth by Lions Den Mentorship, and again, we just here to, really and truly, impact as much youth as we can and partnership with as much city as we can to ensure that the youth have a place where they can open up, where they can feel safe, where they can be empowered, and they can, again, be a contributing member of society. So again, thank you, guys.
To the Lion's Den and to Butcher Block, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the conception and execution of the Lion's Den mentorship. Butcher Block, I can't say enough. You are a small business. You step forward to give these young people a chance in what is normally considered for adults workforce development. I hope that there will be more partnerships. If Butcher Block can do this, I hope that other businesses, whether you are in Mascot, Groveland, or wherever you are, to believe in our youth and make this community a better partnership for all. So thank you, Lion's Den, and thank you, Butcher Block.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor Gaines. Am I able to call the students up to receive their certificates?
We have them right here.
Oh, great.
Call them up and we'll pass them out. Can all of us go out for a picture and?
Yes,
with the
and I also
students?
have representatives from the Butcher Block here as well.
We have a chef here. Thought you couldn't beat that.
Can I please have Anthony Brooks to the podium? Go over here, babe. Babe, go over there. Soraya Jones to the podium. And guys, these kids, they didn't only just earn 65 hours of community service hours for completing this program, they also received a $300 check. On behalf of Ashton Grassi, the mayor and vice mayor will accept his award. And did you want to say something on behalf of Butcher Block? We're going to say something. Oh. I'm about to take over. You better get it. I'm going to take over.
It's really a big step doing this, and training new people to do your cuisine in your kitchen is not easy. And to take that on is a tremendous responsibility. But Chef Rob Mercer's here to accept on behalf of Butcher Block and appreciation of Groveland a small token of our appreciation, which we expect to see next time we're in Butcher Block on the wall.
Front and center.
Can I read this to you all? The Butcher's Block Kitchen. The city of Groveland proudly recognizes the Butcher Block Kitchen for its partnership with the Lion's Den Mentorship Incorporated, hosting the inaugural Youth Workforce Development Program's graduating class. We commend your commitment to mentorship, to intentional service, and creating meaningful opportunities for the next generation of youth professionals.
Steps back if you don't mind. Like, can we go back behind the speakers here just to, I want to get the podium in here. Let's all kind of bunch up a little bit.
Just before we go, you guys can visit our Facebook page, is Lions Den Mentorship, Inc. Again, if you guys have any kids that are in need of mentorship, again, they don't have to be in the system. They just have to, and they don't have to be, they can still be on the straightaway. Again, it's just support, is guidance. Again, just being a safe place for them. You guys can reach out. My number is 352-449-2836. You can either email me or my wife at our first name, which is Daniel, and then Robin at Lions Den Mentorship, Inc. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Jenny, could you please read the consent agenda?
Yes. Consideration of approval, July 29th, 2026, City Council Workshop Minutes, July 29th, 2026, City Council Special Meeting Minutes, August 3rd, 2026, City Council Meeting Minutes, Resolution 2026-44 relating to a traffic signal development agreement between Rock Green Valley LLC and the City of Groveland for contribution toward a future traffic signal at Green Valley Boulevard, Galaxy Drive, and State Road 50. Resolution 2026-46 approving a single-source agreement with Ferguson Enterprises LLC, DBA Ferguson Waterworks for water meters and related parts. Resolution 2026-52, approval of memorandum of understanding between the City of Groveland and Community Health Centers, Inc. for locations of wayfinding signage.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have any comment or anything to be removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment on item D. I'd like to offer an amendment to that resolution. On the bottom line where it says budget impact, right now it says that it's to be determined, but the resolution's basically the city is not ever going to have an impact. It's all paid for the owner and FDOT. So I'd like to make an amendment to that we change that to say there is no impact to the city on the budget item.
Is that possible, or do we have to move it to new business and go through the process?
I'm more comfortable if you move it to new business.
To new business?
At that point, yeah.
So we'll remove it from this and
Yeah,
put it on new business?
that'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Are there any public comments?
Yes. Public comments, Tim Laux for item D and E, and Robin Hoover for consent agenda item F. So Robin Hoover, item F.
Good evening, Robin Hoover, 1387 Ardmore Road, Groveland, 34736. This is an item F. There's a huge incline and uphill pitch entering onto Groveland Farms Road from State Road 50. So when exiting Groveland Farms Road onto State Road 50, you have to pull out pretty far beyond the stop sign, then clear the city's current welcome sign, which puts you almost to the sidewalk already before it's even clear to see in both directions, to make sure that the road and sidewalk is clear of walkers, bicyclists, wheelchairs, motorized carts, electric scooters, e-bikes, etc., from everyday State Road 50 traffic. Not just individuals, but children and families using the sidewalks to the community health center, as well as the Lake Express bus stop at that location. Note that there's also a school bus stop at the intersection, as well as another school bus stop on the next street at Groveland Farms Road and Ardmore Road. We are also have a very busy, We Are the Future Academy, VPK and daycare, where vehicle traffic is entering every morning starting at 6:30 and ending at 6 p.m. We Are the Future also provides bus transportation before and after school care, which enters and leaves from Groveland Farms Road onto State Road 50. The State Road 50 multi-use trail from Villa City to American Legion Road community meeting held on August 27th of 2025, the FDOT told me that the south side of State Road 50 would have a newly widened bicycle lane as well as a pedestrian signal crosswalk at that same location to access the multi-use trail to the north side. The City of Groveland's consultants, HAF, has reported that the road segment between Groveland Farms Road and Villa City Road has an existing volume of 2,655 vehicles during the two-way peak traffic hour. So I'm asking to be mindful of everyone coming in and out of our neighborhood. Please make sure that it's not visually cluttered. Please make sure that the landscaping does not get taller than a small vehicle, making it hard to see over and around. Please don't create a bigger blind spot than there already is. Please don't make it so that at night drivers can't see bicyclists and pedestrians that don't have on the proper safety equipment. You all heard tonight how busy the community health center is and how busy that intersection is during the day. I understand that it's the gateway to Groveland, but it should be enhanced, not hurt the negative, and then, not hurt the neighborhood negatively. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Maslow, can you check?
I'll work with staff on that to make sure there's no blind spots and we provide safety. Of course.
And
Thank you.
Tim Laux, item E on the consent. Item E on the consent, you wanted to discuss Resolution 2026-46?
Will I be called back up on E? I have a comment on E too. Or do you just want me to do them both at the same time?
We're going to come back to D and talk about it in detail. So if you have something on 46, we can do that right now.
Okay. Question on 46, the traffic light on Galaxy and State Road 50. Years back, we had a traffic light installed at Villa City Road and Highway 50. FDOT funded the entire cost of that light. They did that based on the accident rate and the fatality rate of that intersection.
Tim, that's D. We're going to come back to that.
I thought you said
we
E.
need to talk about Ferguson Enterprises, the meters. Okay?
I'm sorry, Mayor. I thought you said D. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Neptune meter, I was reading the staff report on that. They've got Ferguson Underground listed as sole source vendor for that. In my past life, I was a buyer for Walt Disney World, Rudy Creek Energy Services, and bought thousands of Neptune water meters. Ferguson Underground is not the sole source. You can buy those directly from Neptune Technologies Group and several other vendors in Florida. So I'd recommend before the council votes to pass this resolution that they go ahead and instruct staff to seek bids from additional vendors, primarily Neptune Technology Group, the manufacturers of that meter. They do have city, county, and state contracts. We fell under that at Rudy Creek because we were a district. So you may end up with a lot cheaper price on that particular smart Neptune meter than what we've been paying in the past. Second off on that matter, the last company we had in that installed those meters, installed the meter boxes. They were not installed correctly. Subsequently, when you mow your grass, you run over your meter box, and pretty soon your meter box runs down and it breaks your water pipe because they didn't put an underbase on those meters. I did complain to the utility department about that fact. They all came out to my house, about 7 of them, and they agreed it was set in correctly. And 2 weeks later, I ran over the meter with my lawnmower and it broke my water pipe because it was not installed correctly. So when they do this in these other neighborhoods, they need to install them correctly, and they also need to retrofit the other meter boxes that were incorrectly installed. But there again, Neptune Technologies' phone number is 800-633-8951, and they will be able to help you with the city contract and wholesale on those meters. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. TJ, do you want to comment? I know we talked earlier, and I think it went through a bid process, and we probably didn't enter it on the sheet here.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Your team has thoroughly vetted this issue. This is not a decision on whether or not this is the right vendor or not. This is the sole distributor of Neptune products in the state of Florida. And the city committed all in on the advanced metering infrastructure project that has resulted in 19 different receivers being placed throughout this community and 5,000 old census meters eradicated from our system and replaced with Neptune. We have not been able to purchase a meter from Neptune in 6 months because of a procurement policy issue. So what we're asking tonight is for a policy decision, not a budget decision, a procurement policy decision that allows us to go back to business of dealing with this company, Neptune, who is the only distributor for the products that the city of Groveland has committed to. So right now, we are way behind. We've got meters that we need to change out that we're losing revenue on. And I appreciate the comments and concerns, but this was not a decision made in the dark. This was a thoroughly vetted decision about this vendor.
Thank you. Any other comment? No? Oh, why don't you all get together afterwards? This is a policy decision, but get together on the pricing and things. Okay. All right, seeing any further discussion here? Seeing none, let's call for the vote, please. I need a motion first.
Well, we needed
Yeah.
a motion to approve.
Yeah,
So a motion to approve the consent agenda without item D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and take the vote.
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Slokowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Moving on to old business, consideration of approval ordinance 2026-16. Jenny, want to read it?
Yes, consideration of approval ordinance 2026-16, reorganizing city council procedures, amending Division 2, Sections 2-81, 2-86, and 2-88 of the City of Groveland Code of Ordinances, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending Division 2, Section 2-81 of the City Code to establish 6:30 p.m. as the standard meeting time of the City Council with adjournment by 11 p.m. absent an affirmative vote to continue for up to 1 hour past 11 p.m., amending Section 2-86 of the City Code to change the order of business to enable members of the public to address the City Council near the beginning of meetings regarding topics not on the agenda, amending Section 2-88 of the City Code to establish that applicants seeking to amend the future land use or zoning of real property or seeking another development order shall have up to 10 minutes for an initial presentation and 5 minutes for rebuttal, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Mr. Attorney?
Just to recap, we were trying to achieve the twin goals of ending meetings earlier while also increasing public participation. So in order to achieve that, the idea is that, and this is reflecting a consensus of the council that was expressed during workshop, was to start city council meetings at 6:30 p.m. instead of 7, to to conclude city council meetings by 11 p.m., and that if anything is not concluded by 11, that it would be automatically continued to the next regularly scheduled meeting unless you were to otherwise decide. You could also decide to continue the meeting for an additional hour for anything that could not reasonably wait for the next meeting. If there's something that's time sensitive, for example, we wanted to change the order of business so that public comment on items not on the agenda would be at the beginning of meetings rather than at the end, so that people wouldn't have to sit through an entire meeting necessarily to have you hear their concerns. And also, this proposal would slightly reduce the time allotted to speakers from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. In our experience, that will help speakers be more succinct, get to the point, be less repetitious. And we found over 200 other municipalities in the state of Florida that set their public speaking time at 3 minutes, including all of our other municipal clients. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any comment on 2026-16? I thought there'd be
Motion to approve
intense debate on that one.
26-16?
Motion to approve. We have a second. Can we open it up for public? Is there any public input on this? I'm sure everybody wanted to keep the meetings going longer.
There's no public comment.
No public comment. Thank you. Seeing no comment, we'll move ahead with a vote. Thank you.
Who was the
Second.
second vote? Steve? Okay. Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Solkowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines? Aye. Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Resolution 2026-33, request to revise the city's procurement policy. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, approving and adopting the City of Groveland, Florida procurement policy as revised, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, staff kindly requests to continue this item to the next council meeting. There's still some additional council feedback we haven't addressed. I'm very confident we'll address it between now and the next meeting, though.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that.
Move to table.
Move to table.
Second.
Okay, we're moving a second.
I'm sorry.
To table to item 2, Resolution 2026-33.
I need the first motion. Okay, thank you. It's hard to hear over here. You ready for the vote, Mayor?
Ready for the vote.
Councilmember Solkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Jay Cox? Aye. Vice Mayor Gaines? Aye. Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Going on to 3, member appointments to serve on the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. At the May 18th, 2026 City Council meeting, Council approved Ordinance 2026-9 establishing a Strategic Planning Advisory Committee to provide recommendations on long-term visioning, growth, and implementation of city's strategic plan.
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor, members of
Maslow?
the council, we have Ms. Ashley Wright from Communications, who's really been beating the drum on our informed and engaged community priority. We also have several members who have applied to be appointed tonight from the strategic plan. Some of them previously served on the strategic planning committee before. That said, Ashley, can you please provide the presentation? Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. So today I have the honor of just giving you a brief refresher for our Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. So at the August 3rd City Council meeting, it was approved to extend the application deadline through August 7th. So we are excited to have received 7 qualified applications. Before I introduce the applicant pool, I just wanted to give a brief overview of the purpose of the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. So they will be serving in an advisory role. All of the final decisions will be left to the discretion of the council, and they will, this is established to provide our ongoing citizen and stakeholder input. Their role will be to review the strategic plan, consider progress towards the goals and objectives, and to recommend updates as needed to the plan. And also a very important distinction that I always find that it's critical to make is the difference between our strategic plan values and our strategic plan priorities. The values are what determine our priorities. Priorities change, the values don't. So what you have in your agenda, in your council agenda packet, are the names of the applicants who had applied to be a part of this committee. I just wanted to provide you with a quick update. Ms. Jillian Blackburn, unfortunately, is not eligible to serve at this time, as one of the criteria for eligibility was the applicant must reside within Groveland city limits or own a business within the city. However, all of the other applicant names that you'll see on the second slide are eligible for consideration this evening. Can we go to the second slide, please? In fact,
Next
I might
slide,
be able to
IT,
do that.
please.
Let's see if I can. There we go. So these are the names of those who are eligible for consideration tonight. Unfortunately, Mr. Donald Weber is out of town. However, he is excited to serve. And we wanted to provide a thank you to everyone who applied to serve on this committee. One of the important things about this committee is that it provides input, an opportunity for input for citizens and stakeholders. You do not have to be a stakeholder, a citizen to be a stakeholder. You may not live in the Groveland community, but you might do business here. Maybe your children go to South Lake High School here in Groveland. Our parameters may determine the jurisdiction in which our city boundaries are in, but it does not determine stakeholder impact. And it's so important that we remember that those appointed tonight will be the ones to formalize the conversation, but we are not closing the conversation. All of the voices that give our community its character absolutely matter, and we've had such great impact and feedback from the community. I know one of the mayor's favorite priorities is informed and engaged, and one of the things that I learned from all of you is that informed and engaged might be one of the most important of the values. It is the difference between awareness and invitation. So without further ado, it is my honor to just go ahead and name off the applicants. Dr. Tony McCoy, Chloe Gentry, Jose Rubio, Terry Hannafin, Kim Jemison, Donald Weber, and Nancy Aiken. Please let us know if you have any questions.
Are they here so they can stand and be recognized? I saw Kim, I saw Nancy. Is everybody, there's Mr. Tony, if you all could please stand. And thank you for your service. This is the most important committee. Everything comes up and down from this committee. So thank you for your service in advance. Thank you. Okay, item 4, consideration of approval, ordinance 2026-13. Jenny?
Mayor, we do have public comment. Dr. Tony McCoy.
We need to approve that or no? Doesn't say anything. Need to approve it or no?
Good evening, Mayor. Pastor Tony McCoy, 13806 State Road 33, Groveland, Florida. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, and City Manager. I wanted to start off just by saying how grateful I truly am for having been a part of the Strategic Planning Committee since its process since year 2021. It has been my esteemed honor to serve as chairman and help support our city's direction through strategic planning, making sure that it complements our city's comprehensive plan. I wanted to share that I am extremely proud of all of our committee members, and I just wanted to just say their names just for a moment. Most people don't know, but I was not the first chairman of the Strategic Planning Board. I had the privilege of learning up underneath, I consider one of the best chairmen that we've ever had, and that's our very own mayor. So, Mayor, I wanted to tell you thank you for that. I watched you for the time period that we served together and implemented a lot of what I saw as the chairman now. But our mayor, Attorney Brent Jones, Attorney Bridget Bennett, Chloe Gentry, Andy Hansen, Kim Jamerson, Jamie Lowe, Dr. Roland Nunez, and also Jose Rubio. These individuals have put in countless hours of research, meetings, conversations with the city staff, and internal discussions within our group as well to develop strategic plan that serves Groveland today, that we're all proud of. However, with that said, with that same pride for our plan comes a great pause for me tonight. I was recently made aware of the new requirement that members of the Strategic Planning Committee must either reside in or own businesses within the city of Groveland. While I understand the intent and I respect and the intent and I respectfully ask council to consider an unintended impact that will help us stay consciously united. Our Vice Chair, Brett Jones, individual that served for the last 5 years of this committee, has been on our committee since 2021, and he has been present and been active in helping to build the plans, the foundation. Now, I know that he put in an application. His knowledge and his perspective has been truthfully instrumental in shaping the plan before us and each of you today. There is a tremendous amount of value in the professional expertise and fresh perspective that Mr. Jones has brought to the committee over these last 5 years, and I believe as vice chair, he still has the capacity and ability to contribute. In his continued volunteered action, he has shown his love for Groveland. As we continue to seek specialized expertise for our city, we should look for those that are best equipped to help Groveland succeed. I believe that we should be open to consider when people who are committed to volunteering, as Mr. Jones has showed, their time and their knowledge and their expertise to help shape Groveland in a positive way, shape Groveland's future in a positive way, I think that they should be considered. As you all know, throughout this process, we have defined the values that should guide Groveland forward. Intentionality, connectivity, vitality, knowledge, and heart. Those values should not only be reflected in a plan on a piece of paper that we produce, but they should be, may I? Thank you, Mayor. They should be reflected in the people that we invite to help shape that document. Intentionality means being thoughtful about who we bring to that table. Connectivity reminds us that Groveland does not exist in an isolated box. Vitality comes from diverse perspectives that keeps us strong and prepared for growth. Knowledge means recognizing the valuable experience regardless where the municipality boundaries lines may fall. And then there's heart. This is the new requirement. This new requirement would exclude someone who is not outside, who's not an outsider. No, it would not do that. But someone who has been the heart of it, as I believe, as chairman, that I am compelled to speak, that Mr. Jones embodies. So as the chairman, I'm not asking the council to disregard the importance of Groveland's residents or business owners because their voices are, of course, essential but I am simply asking that some kind of way that we could choose not to close the door on individuals who have already, for the last 5 years, demonstrated their commitment, their value to our city, and to their creative heart for everyone that calls Groveland home. If we believe in intentionality, connectivity, vitality, knowledge, and heart, then let us demonstrate it tonight. Those values are not just something on paper, but they're something that we extend to people that have shown that they care about this city. In closing, I would like to say the strategic plan before you tonight did not simply appear. It took hard work. Those individuals that I named, I'm so glad that I had the privilege to, again, sit up underneath our mayor and learn just what it takes to be a chairman. And it means sticking up for the people that you have the privilege of leading and supervising, and what you, the mayor, vice mayor, city council members, instructs us to do. I'm asking tonight that some kind of way that we can implement this rule, but that with those who have shown that they care about this city and invested in this city and bring their expertise to this city, that some kind of way we grandfather those individuals in if they so deem to still volunteer their times. Mr. Jones has not asked me to speak for him, and I don't feel that he'll be pretty much happy because he is a very busy man. But I do believe, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, that his subtraction from our strategic planning committee would not be positive for our city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Alan Joyce.
Alan Joyce, my address is protected. I appreciate what the pastor says, and a lot of people gave a lot of time on that committee and brought the city forward. I can't take anything away from any of that, and I appreciate that. A lot of details were covered, a lot of sacrifice. No one ever sees it, no one ever appreciates the details. I appreciate that. A lot of good people. But I ask that if you change the rules that have been set forth with no city residents, that you re-notice this so that other people have the opportunity to apply. I'm going to be very generic, but I don't think anyone can look at the December 1st, 2025 council meeting and listen to what was said and believe that was right, what was said. I'm going to be generic about that. But please, if you're going to reconsider, please open the application process up again so that everyone can have a fair shot at that. Thank you.
If I may, I can offer a solution, taking us back to when we did this committee before. We had forums, we had people that weren't voting members of the committee that came in, like Farmer Banks and all the different disciplines that we had. Would be a good solution tonight would be to offer ex officio kind of a status like we did before. But I don't know that we want to go back and redo this whole thing again, because we've got to get this strategic plan going. And I'm looking at some people in here that served on the agricultural committee and eco-ag and different things that were very, very valuable. But right now, I would suggest that we move forward as it's written. You all get together and make a group decision on asking the committee to reconsider that. But tonight, let's move ahead, is my opinion. Any other opinions?
I have a procedural question about this. It says we're to pick 5 to 7 people. So any motion would have to say how many people we were picking? And then there's also an area that says we need to distinguish 3 of them to be on the first term and 4 of them to be on a second term. So does the motion have to include that?
That would be very helpful so that people understand from the get-go whether they're there until such and such of a date.
You have 7 qualified applicants. You have a maximum of 7, minimum of 7 that you could appoint. You do, if you do.
It says a minimum of 5.
Right, minimum of 5, maximum of 7. You have 7 qualified candidates that we vetted. Most of them are in the audience today. You have the option of asking questions, interviews, but if you feel confident in appointing them, and if you appointed all 7, you would just have to appoint 4 for one part of the term, and then I think it goes to 2029, and then 3 to 2028. Rick, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
That looks right.
So that would be in the motion to if you.
I would ask you to do that.
Correct.
That
Okay.
way, there's no question how long the terms are.
Let me make a motion.
So I make a motion that we,
I didn't get to make a comment.
well, I was asking a procedural question. We're going to get to discussion after the motion happens.
Yeah, that's fine. We can discuss after the motion. That's really parliamentary, but go ahead.
Let's see. So what is this motion again?
Motion to appoint.
2020, motion to approve 2026-9 with 7 members and to have them alphabetically, the first 3 be the first term and the rest of them be on the second term.
Term would be how many years?
It's in there. I don't need to restate that.
There's 2-year terms and 3-year terms.
Does that qualify?
Yeah. Let me explain something. 2026-9 was an ordinance. It was already approved last May. So you're not moving to approve the ordinance. That's already been done.
Okay.
So what we're asking for here is a motion to appoint up to the 7 members, and then you get to decide. And you could do it randomly or however you want, who serves until 2027, or I'm sorry, 2028, and who serves till 2029.
That was my motion, Rick.
Okay. All right. Then we restate.
Did you get that, Jenny? The motion? Can you repeat that,
Still
Rick?
appoint 7 members, and then they decide the terms.
Just done alphabetical order. The first 3 in the alphabet will be the first term, the 3-year term, and the rest of them will be on the 2 and the 4, the 2 and the 3. Excuse me. So
that's right.
Okay, we have that.
Need a second motion?
And then we need a second.
Second.
Second, discussion. Vice Mayor?
I appreciate the effort that Brett Jones has put in for 5 years. And I just think that for the work and the reasons that were given for his being allowed to serve again, I believe that there are people here within the city of Groveland who have that same commitment and dedication to serving on this advisory committee. So again, like I said, I appreciate his service, but I believe that our first choice should be those residents of Groveland, because like Mr. Jones has served, so be it that there be somebody out there that may want to contribute to the city that they live in. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Any other comment? Seeing none, any public comment? Okay, let's go ahead and take the vote.
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Sholkowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Moving on now we'll go back to the item D from that we moved from the consent agenda, Resolution 2026-44. relating to the traffic signal development agreement between Rock Green Valley LLC and the City of Groveland for contribution towards a future traffic signal at Green Valley Boulevard, Galaxy Drive, State Road 50. Okay, who's going to speak to this? Who
Yes,
wanted
Mr.
to
Mayor,
remove
members
it?
of the council, we actually have TJ Fish, our Public Works Director, who has overseen the permitting process for the traffic signal. He's also our liaison with FDOT representing the city on transportation items. And I believe we also have the applicant in attendance as well, if there's any questions from the applicant.
Wasn't this just a change in verbiage, or did you want something different?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, well,
It was just a change in verbiage, because right now, under budget impact, it says none at this time, but it was my impression that we would never have to pay for this traffic signal. So that's what I want to be in the resolution, that we're not paying for it. So
that's the staff's approach too. The applicant has in the agreement that they would pay up to $300,000, and our approach would be FDOT paying the remainder. So there's no budgetary, no financial obligation from the city. If anything did come up with the FDOT as part of the process, of course, we would have to come back to the council on that, seek approval through a new agreement, along with budgeting request. And that's not our intent as a staff. So staff would be okay with the councilman's direction on that condition.
So could you put that verbiage together just so we don't have to go through the whole thing? There's no reason to go through it just to change the verbiage, right?
If you approved with the condition, just to really bolster that language, we could then take that to FDOT. That would be enough for us.
So now the motion reads, somebody read it back.
So the motion would be to accept, what is this? 2026-44 with the amendment to the budget line, as there is no impact to the city.
And you made that motion?
Yes.
And
I'll
we have-
second.
Do we have a second? We have a second. A motion and a second?
Is that Vice Mayor Gaines, that second?
No, Amy Jo, second. Discussion? Further discussion needed? Any discussion from the public?
Yes, Tim Laux.
Thank you, Mayor. Tim Laux, 623 Neptune Drive. As I was saying previously, Villa City Road and Highway 50, I believe it was 2011 or 12, traffic light was installed at the sole cost of the FDOT since it is a state road. There was no cost to any builders, any of the adjacent businesses. Why in this case are we asking the developer to contribute $300,000 to a traffic light that's past due being installed? FDOT normally puts these traffic lights in due to the accident rate and the fatality rate, and there's been plenty at that particular intersection. So that's my question before you approve allowing or forcing a developer to contribute $300,000 to this cost.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to totally answer that, but I will say I've been involved in this conversation as part of our concurrency with the addition of 2 more stores down there, which would be a Chipotle and a McDonald's. The amount of traffic that would go through there would trigger the need for a light. So the businesses going in are what's causing the need, not the neighborhoods, not the anybody else. So as part of the development agreement, help me out here, Tim, you're better.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to reiterate also, if it wasn't clear in the agreement, there is the caveat that if FDOT pays for the whole traffic signal, which is a possibility, the applicant would be, they would receive that $300,000 back. So there is that potential, and we would aim for that, of course. But, of course, safety is a priority of the city. We also want to ensure growth is paying for growth, so there is that potential proportionate share agreement.
It's kind of not waiting for the fatality, you know? I mean, if they know that we need it in the business, they want to move forward because they want those 2 stores. We're not going to give them those 2 stores until we have some way for people to get on there quickly, you know?
Mayor, unfortunately, the city of Groveland has no jurisdiction on traffic signalization of any state road. They don't. And the problem on that, the road is rated, I believe it's an E now. You can only go to F before it's rated the worst there is. That is a state's obligation, so I would advise the council, other than penalize the businesses for bringing tax dollars into the city of Groveland, to petition the FDOT to do something they should have done over a year and a half ago. I don't think it's fair that the city of Groveland's penalizing a business to put a traffic light on a state road. I have no interest in the business, but if I did, I'd refuse to do that.
Okay, and that's their choice. Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Then let's move forward.
Councilmember Jaycox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Szulkowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe.
Aye. Item 4 under new business, consideration of approval, ordinance 2026-13, Sampy Road parcel. Oh, Jenny, that's for you.
Consideration of approval ordinance 2026-13, Sampy Road Parcel 2, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.31871 Florida statutes, amending the future land use plan designation from City of Groveland Established Neighborhood Agriculture and Conservation to the City of Groveland Employment Center and Conservation on the land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 15.41 plus minus acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors and conflicts, providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Commerce, and providing for.
Thank you. Tim?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, before Alan Booker from our staff presents, I just wanted to get permission to present all three items in tandem. They're all regarding one property, one project. It would make a lot more sense if you heard the whole presentation consistently. And then when you do vote, you'll have to vote on the items separately.
Separately. Should we read all three, though, going in?
That would make sense as soon as Jenny gets back to the dais.
That's fine.
We're going to read the other two and consider them at once and vote separately, Jenny.
So Jenny, just to reiterate, we're going to read all three items at one time.
You want me to read them all three?
Mr. Booker is going to present all three items in tandem as well. And then when the board votes, they'll do three votes separately, one for each item.
Well, I already read the first one, so we'll move on to the next one. Consideration of approval ordinance 2026-14, Sampy Road Parcel 2, rezoning, first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from City of Groveland Agriculture, Light Industrial, and Conservation to the City of Groveland Light Industrial and Conservation for the herein described property owned by John Jones and located on Sampy Road, north of State Road 50, east of Phelps Road, and west of Beverly Drive, describing the new zoning designation for the property, finding consistency with the comprehensive plan, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors and conflicts, and providing an effective date. Consideration of approval ordinance 2026-15, Sampy Road Parcel 1, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.31871 Florida statutes by amending the future land use plan designation from City of Groveland Established Neighborhood and Conservation to the City of Groveland Agriculture, Employment Center, and Conservation on the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 14.77 plus minus acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors and conflicts, providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Commerce, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Booker?
Good evening, Mayor Kehoe, Vice Mayor Gaines, and council members. So my name is Alan Booker, Senior Planner with the City of Groveland. So tonight, we're gonna present those three items concurrently, and I'm gonna begin with kind of going back a quick little project timeline on how things came. Oh, yes, okay. So just starting with the big picture, so on March 3rd, 2026, the applicant had a pre-application meeting for the Groveland Common Business Park and Sampe Roadway. The applicant proposed to build a 12-light industrial flex office building totaling 90,000 square feet. During the pre-application, staff noted that the future land use was agriculture. An established neighborhood was not consistent with the zoning, which was already light industrial on the south and east of the Sampe Road. So here I did illustrate like what the potential site plan is going to be for us. Then moving on March 18, March 26, the submitted three application, a minor lot split, a small-scale comprehensive plan and rezoning, and a site development plan. So three different applications. Because of the nature of it, we took a little bit more time, and then we consulted with the interim city attorney to review the various applications, and the applicant requested their site development plan to be reviewed concurrently with the minor lot split, the future land use, and the rezoning. Then you fast forward to July 21, 2026. The minor lot split was then approved by the interim city managers. Then on July 24, the minor lot split was recorded with Lake County. So essentially, we had this big property of over 30 acres that was split into two parcels, parcel 1 and parcel 2. So the first ordinance, as you can see, this is the area that's highlighted in red and black. So we have Sampe Road, and what we have one area to the north side of Sampe Road where it says 2, that is going from established neighborhood to employment, that's to employment center, that's the proposed. And on the southeast side of Sampe Road, they want to go from agriculture to employment center. The conservation is no change, it remains exactly as it is. So this is the request for the future land use. Now, we did our analysis per the firm panel from FEMA, 12069C055E, effective 12/18/2012. The majority of the property is located within FEMA Flood Zone A, which is inside the special flood hazard area. So Zone A is approximate. It means there's not an official FEMA base flood elevation. Essentially, if you think of this floodplain, imagine it's a bathtub, and you know when you turn on the faucet, the water's going to rise. You just don't know how high. And that base flood tells you how high. Now, luckily for us, we had the city did a 2020 CRA watershed study with engineering, and for the property, because it was within the Padla-Lacaja River basin, and based on the study engineering model, the city has established a base flood BFE of 96.6, NAVD 88 for floodplain management purposes. So in other words, any future development within the special flood hazard area will be required to comply with Chapter 121, which is our floodplain management chapter of the City Land Development Code. And that elevation of 96.6 was really important in this analysis because most of the site where they want to build happens to be on natural high ground. So had the applicant they could have technically gone through FEMA and request a letter of map change to show that on natural high ground. Now, they didn't do this, so that means they will have to go through a flood development permit part of their application. Now, looking at the comprehensive plan, we looked at what was in favor. So I'm summarizing briefly what was in our comprehensive plan. It's more detailed in the staff report. So policy 1.1b, it aligns the future land use designation with existing zoning. So you want your future land use and zoning to be consistent. We want them to be in alignment. So this is what this project would do. Policy 1.1e, it focuses on employment and growth adjacent to existing industrial and employment areas, reducing our urban sprawl. Policy 1.1F is to maintain an adequate supply of employment lands. And Policy 1.1I, encourage workplace environment that reduce the need to travel by cars and promote walking and cycling. Policy 1.1P, compatibility, which is addressed through the Land Development Code, which is buffering. So essentially, if you had an industrial next to residential, our code would require to do there's different buffer types based on what type of future land use it is. Comprehensive plan policy we found neutral is the wetlands. Essentially, we're going to keep the wetlands where they are. The policy 3.1C is the floodplain protection. It remained in effect. And the last policy that was really found not in favor was 2.1A, which is because it removes some agriculture's future land use designation from the property. And then moving on to our staff recommendation. Staff recommend approval of Ordinance 2026-13. The proposed amendment changes a portion of the agriculture future land use designation, and staff finds the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan because it resolves an existing inconsistency between the future land use map and the zoning map. It preserves the conservation where they are and does not alter the environmental or floodplain regulation that govern this development. Per our Planning and Zoning Board recommendation, they also unanimously approve Ordinance 2026-13. And now moving on to the second part, which is the rezoning for parcel Site 2. So in this case, on the north side of Sanpete, if you recall, the future land use was established neighborhood, and they had an agricultural zoning. So in this case, we want to go from agriculture to light industrial. On the south side, they already had light industrial, so no change proposed. And the conservation, there was already there, is keeping exactly as it is, no change there. Here's a picture of Sanpete Road, that it is what it looks like right at the moment. It's a dirt road. So it is consistent with the future land use employment, because the employment center is consistent with light industrial or heavy industrial. It is compatible generally with the surrounding uses, and it meets, right now it's a virgin land, meets essentially the applicant land development code standards. So in this case, staff recommends approval of 2026-14. The Planning Zoning Board's recommendation was unanimous approval of Ordinance 2026-14. Now looking at the parcel that was split, which is now parcel 1, which is the northwest portion, which is about 14.77 acres. The request here was to change the future land use from the City of Groveland established neighborhood and conservation to the City of Groveland agriculture, employment center, and conservation. So let's talk about this a little bit. So conservation stays the same. Now on the northwest, the very tip of the property, the future land use was established neighborhood, and they want to go from established neighborhood to agriculture. The zoning is already agriculture, so if they bring it back to agriculture, you have consistency and alignment. Now, if you notice what's interesting in this parcel, there's this little sliver on the south side of Sanpete, which is sandwiched between two utilities company. This one is currently established neighborhood, and the request is to bring it to employment center, because the zoning is already light industrial. So it's once again to bring it into alignment. So there are no requests for rezoning on the third application. So once again, conservation stays conservation. The established neighborhood to the northwest would go to agriculture, and that little sliver on the south side of Sanpete between the two utilities will go from established neighborhood to employment center. Now in this case, we're looking at the same floodplain, and we have the same base flood elevation. And something to point out is the northwest portion is actually outside the special flood hazard area. So once again, they would still have to do a flood permits because a portion of the property is within the floodplain, so we have to ensure that it's reasonably safe. And then looking at the policies in favor, We have policy 1.1B, which is, once again, align the future land use with existing zoning, so we're going to have consistency between the two. Policy 1.1F, maintain adequacy of supply of implement land. That's because of the southern portion of the property is sandwiched between two employment center. Policy 2.18, promotes agriculture as a viable land use. So in this case, there would be increasing agriculture in that northwest quadrant. And if you were wondering, well, how are they going to access the property, this is a picture of the south side looking from Sampe toward the property. There's another access point that they have. And then staff's recommendation, we're in approval of ordinance 2026-15. The Planning Zoning Board's recommendation was also unanimous approval of ordinance 2026-15.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take the discussion on all three, and then we'll come back to vote on one. So if there's discussion or clarification needed on all three items, that would be for item 4, 5, and 6. Let's move forward with that. Amy Jo?
My first question is, how is, or why is everything out of alignment to begin with? Because a lot of these are to make it match, but why does it not match?
Well, that's a really good question. I did request from our clerk to see how was it before 2020, but it appears that in the past it was the future land use was ag, and they still had light industrial on the south side. So the goal, I mean, what this application would do is to bring in alignment, but we don't really know why. We could not locate an older ordinance how this came about. But it's not the only properties in the city. There's more that this is one of the case the applicant comes forth. So we have the opportunity to make a decision, or you have an opportunity to make a decision.
I would just add that unfortunately it's quite common, not only in Groveland, but even in other jurisdictions like Orange County and even Winter Park. When you look at thousands of parcels throughout a city and you look at two maps, a future land use map and a zoning map, there could have been a situation when the city at one point rezoned the property but just never amended the comprehensive plan to make it consistent. Our goal with every application, that's why you see multiple applications tied in with each project, to make sure that both of those maps are amended at the same time and consistent, if that's what council directs staff to do.
Thank you.
Jay Cox?
My only question is, this is not going to affect anything up near the spray field?
No, this would be on the Sampe, it's a different part of Sampe.
Okay, that was my only question.
Steve?
For that. I don't have any questions. I reviewed the packet and talked with Tim, but we do have some planning and zoning folks here, so I didn't know if they had any outstanding questions from their meeting, if they could just...
Yeah, if the P&Z has a statement, they're welcome to come up. And somebody raised their hand. Would you please do a card back there, and we'll put you on the comment? Okay. P&Z?
Yeah, we have Zach Decker, our chairman from P&Z. He's here prepared to speak if you have any questions. Was a unanimous approval, I understand, from P&Z on all three items related to this project. You also have Alex Stringfellow representing the applicant, too, if you have any questions for him.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to know, because being on planning and zoning, we sometimes pass something unanimously, but still have outstanding questions. So you guys feel confident? Okay.
Vice Mayor?
I have no questions.
I have one question, but it's not directly. Where are we on agricultural mitigation? Remember, we've talked about if somebody comes in and takes agriculture away, they have to find agriculture somewhere else. Are we on track on that, or? Because this would be a place that would be used, right?
Great question, Mr. Mayor. So that is a new policy we're looking at as part of the new comp plan that's expected to come after legal review back to the public for a comment, and then ultimately for adoption through P&Z, through council. That policy is not embedded today, but staff did work with the applicant. You might have noticed there is that parcel in the northwest section of the whole project where it is changing to agriculture. Since the agricultural section south of that was adjacent to the light industrial, it makes sense to marry the light industrial keep the agriculture to the top as a better transition to the residential neighborhood.
Good. Okay, we have public comment.
Alan Joyce.
Alan Joyce, my address is protected. We were very vocal on a previous issue, and we were against that. And I have to come up and say I'm very vocal in thanking staff for getting the future land use map into this equation, Alan Booker, Tim Maslow, city manager, and we really appreciate that. So that's really come a long way, and I just wanted to get up and say that because I hate to just say something negative about something and not come back and give credit where credit is due. So thank you.
Thank you. If you have something, you have to give it to the clerk.
Michelle McIntyre.
Michelle McIntyre, 559 Timber Run Lane, Groveland, Florida.
Down. There you go.
Sure. I have a question in reference to this. What are we doing about Phelps Street? Those people are already dealing with enough traffic as it is, just the people cutting through. We do this, what happens to them?
Have we taken, Booker, Mr. Booker, have we taken a look at the traffic impact off of Phelps?
Yes, on the applicant, because actually the applicant did a site plan application concurrently with this project, and the trip generation was fairly low compared to, according to the engineer, and they did request a, I think an exemption from a deeper traffic analysis because they didn't trigger the threshold. I'm not a traffic engineer, but based on the comments of our traffic engineer, they accepted that exemption. Because it's not, if this had been a subdivision, let's imagine it had been like 4 dwelling units to the acre established, this would be creating a lot more traffic than the light industrial slash flex space.
I don't want it to be the better of two bads. So how do we get through this? Because we do have issues on Phelps with people cutting through. Maybe, I don't know what the time is on this. Is this after, or going to be built out after the bypass, which takes that off, and how does that impact the whole situation?
This will be likely coming online in tandem with the realignment, possibly a little farther after. There is another application that you're not seeing that is running concurrently with this packet, and that's a site development plan application. That is what the transportation analysis is tied to. So there is a design and engineering review that's happening in tandem. The developer has applied it at their own risk based on these new zoning classifications. For instance, if you voted no for whatever reason tonight, that site development process ends. If we get an approval, that site development plan application continues. That's the point where we'd be looking at not only Phelps, but we're looking at also St. P. Road, and I understand the developer, the applicant, has already signed off on doing close to $1 million roadway enhancement project with pavement, stormwater infrastructure on St. P. Road. Staff could look at traffic calming on Phelps and some additional improvements. This is the downtown. This is the interconnected street grid. As we talk about commercial, this is big picture, not necessarily just tied to this small development. But when we look at where commercial goes, where businesses go, the downtown, if we're not doing it there, I don't know where that's going to go. Ideally, you look for areas that have multiple connections rather than just one. And when there's an area like this that's an interconnected grid platted back in 1911, this is the historic Taylorville plat, that provides multiple options for people visiting and leaving these businesses. But at the end of the day, we are looking at the site development plan application. That's one of the details we could vet even more thoroughly on with traffic calming on Phelps.
And does that come before who for approval? Does that come back before the council?
That's an administrative review. You could add a condition that detail would come back to the council.
Okay.
We have more public comment.
Public comment, Jen Eastridge.
Jen Eastridge, my address is protected. So I don't know if you guys have gone down Phelps anytime around school let out. There's a ton of kids that like to play over there at the end of the asphalt and the beginning of the dirt road. If you guys do this, it's light industrial. What happens with light industrial? Big trucks, right? What about the kids? So especially with the land swap being negotiated, right? And we're talking about maybe an emergency room and an urgent care on the other side of Sampy in order to handle those bigger trucks and then handle the ambulances. Wouldn't it be smarter to make Sampy go into the bypass? We dead end Phelps, which protects the neighborhood. Now we don't have traffic, we don't have ambulances, we don't have everything running through the neighborhood. The kids are safe, that's the big thing, is the kids are safe. But then if we make Sampy into a 4-lane road, then it can also maintain those bigger trucks and those ambulances. Just a thought, especially if the plan's not approved yet.
That's a good idea, and I think when we get further down the road on the, and we're going to talk about the hospital issue in just a second, but there is a right-of-way between the two major buildings, just a little bit away from the fire station, that will go straight back off of 50, straight back to where the hospital and stuff would be. We would probably target that right-of-way more than we would Sampy because it's a straight shot. But those are all good comments, and we could take a look at that. But right now, we have a challenge getting fire trucks in and out and things, and there might be some way that we can signalize that and make it better.
Safety is key, and of course, we'll look at this as part of the site development plan application.
Okay, more comment?
About what? Is this
Behind
public comment now?
It's the
For
comment.
this road, for Sampy?
Yep, for Sampy and Phelps right there.
Okay. So Crystal Gumbel.
So like Jen said, when school gets out, there are 1,000 little kids out there playing. The reason, back in the 90s, I want to say, is when the light industrial came in. It was when we were getting out of the orange grove industry and into the hay baling industry. We couldn't get trucks in and out of those areas to haul the stuff out of there. We were having trouble in that area with the cattle being able to get the trucks in and out of there, being able to restructure the roads, and would be able to handle getting the trucks in and out of there to take the cattle. There was a reason why they only did it on one side of that area, because the other side was families and children, and they want their dirt roads. Y'all, we're Grove people. We're front porch sitters. We like our sweet tea and our evenings overlooking things, and you're talking about adding a bigger area now of light industrial. What about those light little futures? Please don't take that away, because also with light industrial comes in sewage issues. Now, I don't know if y'all remember what happened during Milton and Hurricane Helene, but when Milton came through, everything north of 50, almost to the interstate, was flooded for months. We lost we lost cattle, we lost a lot of other farm animals to coccidosis and other elements that we couldn't control at that time. FEMA doesn't have their finger on it because they didn't even really go in there and fix anything from then either. So now you want to add more stuff to that area that already cannot handle storms back to back. We can't handle traffic in that area right now either. It's going to mess up everything. We don't have a city sewer runoff. We have what God intended, for our soil to absorb it. But now you're asking us to absorb a lot more chemicals and toxins into our plants and animals that are in that area. We don't want all this extra industry. You're bringing more and more and more people here. Get out of here with that, man. Bring back everybody being community. When was the last time somebody spoke to somebody at a convenience store and asked them How do you feel about your community? How do you feel about what's going on here? Do you feel safe here? Do you feel like if you approached anyone in your community that you would get help? Or would you get shunned, put on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, which is another point. Y'all need to get with the times. Miss Linda, I love you to pieces. Or Barbara, I'm sorry, Miss Gaines, period. I want you to get somebody that writes your
Mayor, it's
speeches
not
for you.
appropriate to single out a council member. She needs to address the council as a whole.
Oh. Yes, council as a whole.
Thank you.
Some of you really should get some publicists because some of you are getting backlash that you don't deserve because you do not speak well in front of people or in front of a camera. So, yeah, that's not fair. And nobody should be slandering her or anyone else on the council. Let's make sure we protect everyone's little feelings.
Thank you.
That's it for this one. Y'all have a good one on that. I'll be back with more.
Thank you. Okay.
No further public comment for those items.
Who did the motion? Who made the motion?
No one?
No
We didn't do
one?
a motion. Make a motion to approve 2026-13 dependent on the site plan coming back to us.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion up here? Seeing none, let's go ahead with a vote.
Councilmember Carroll, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Slokowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. We need to take 2026-14 as a motion. Can I have a motion to accept ordinance 2026-14, Sampy Road, Parcel 2? We just talked it.
Move to approve with the same caveat as we did with the last one.
A second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none?
Who was the second?
Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Slokowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Moving on to consideration and approval, I need a motion for 2026-15, Sampy Road, Parcel 1.
Motion to approve 2026-15 with the same provisions as 13 and 14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, let's move along with a vote.
Councilmember Jaycox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Slokowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Moving on to 7, consideration of approval, Resolution 2026-54, relating to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, State Revolving Fund, SRF, adoption of the Clean Water Facilities Plan, Groveland Utilities North Water Reclamation Facility dated June 30th, 2026, prepared by Woodard and Curran for the implementation of wastewater system improvements.
Mr. Mayor, we have TJ Fish who's ready for a presentation. I just want to remind the group, I would encourage you to listen to the presentation, and if your questions aren't answered, you could always continue the item if need be.
Thank you.
Mayor, members of council, TJ Fish, Director of Transportation and Public Works. Let me start off the presentation just with a quick reminder. This exact same planning document, and tonight it's just the planning document that's before you for consideration. You actually approved this document on July 6th, and it was in fact transmitted as promised to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And they did a quick review, and they gave us feedback, and therefore it's back in front of you tonight with some changes that were part of their request to meet their terms in order for this project, which is the North Water Reclamation Facility, also known as a wastewater treatment plant with reclaimed water treatment attached to it, therefore the reclamation. That was a project that was acted on the 6th. They said, you know, we want you to plan and show in your document that you've thoroughly looked at all options for disposal, which is ironic to me because that's the same issue that we're dealing with at the Sampy location regarding the spray field. Could we ever repurpose the spray field? Yes, if you come up with a different way to handle the required disposal of when the wastewater treatment process does not go perfectly, which means we weren't able to sell it as reclaimed. We had to spray it on the field or do something else with it. So in the north part of the city, we have rapid infiltration basins up on the sand dunes next to the Goldman Sachs building. The big 1 million square foot building, you wouldn't even know it, but there are 3 big holes in the ground that look like sandy basins, and that's where we send the Sunshine Plant water whenever it's rejected and can't be sold as reclaim. So I say that because we're bringing back the same plan as 6 weeks ago with only really this change. So, but we're still required to show you these slides and invite public comment. So I'm going to walk through it very quickly. And here the public participation process is used to explain the project and the financial impacts to the public. The public participation process shall include the project sponsor's public meeting tonight, held before the sponsor's acceptance of the planning recommendations. So you're getting those recommendations again tonight. The public meeting shall provide for public participation in the evaluation of project alternatives. I've just discussed some of the disposal alternatives, and then shall inform the public of the capital cost, which we'll cover in just a moment, of this proposed capital project and the long-term financial impacts on customers. Notice of the public meeting shall be in accordance with local requirements, 14 days prior to, whichever is greater, and that has occurred. So with that, we are going to real quickly go over the facilities planning document, discuss the project and the technical and financial implications, take any public comment, have a discussion as council opts, and then hope that you'll consider approving Resolution 2026-37, which will adopt the facilities plan with those changes. And again, the changes, we're going back over capital improvement needs. Why is the plant even necessary? Did we look at all alternatives? Yes, and you see the other bullet points. So CIP, the capital improvements plan and the physical plan for the current Sunshine plant that's located up at State Road 19 and US 27. That is also a water reclamation facility because it's a wastewater plant that also makes reclaimed water. And then we're looking at the needs for the overall north service area because we have determined Sunshine is a 1 MGD plant. It's not really a very optimal candidate for expanding or even trying to modernize it. So therefore, we're looking to serve the north service area, which is everything north of the Palat-Lakaha River with this proposed facility. And tonight, I will say it 3 more times. This is planning only. This is not any kind of funding implication decision before you. It's to submit this document that's required for us to even be considered for any level of loan or grant funding. So the idea is to provide treatment capacity for our current customers and then any of the commitments that the City of Groveland has already made. And when I talk about the City of Groveland commitments, I'm talking about the properties that have been annexed, that have been given future land use designations, that have been given zoning, and they're sitting waiting for someone to come, as I like to refer to it, and pick the fruit to apply to actually develop the property. This would be to provide the wastewater capacity to handle what Groveland has already obligated itself to. So we are required by DEP to incorporate the operation and maintenance aspects of any facility that we're asking for their funding to build. And before we can build it, we have to plan for it and design it. And right now, planning mode for this document, our intention is to move into design as soon as we have a good design funding plan. And the basic, why are we doing any of this? We want to make sure we've got reliability, redundancy, and resiliency for our customers today, as well as any customers that may move to Groveland. So the alternatives considered, the selected alternative is to look at basically what is now a $101 million project. And so what we are looking at is pursuing low-interest loans and grants. We are working through DEP. We may also have to work through some other processes because this is the largest capital project Groveland will have ever considered. And one of our goals is, as far as costs to the ratepayer, you've got the Raftellus rate study that's in effect now from 2024, and we have two things, the rate study and the impact fee structure. We also have the required capital finance plan that's part of this planning document that's submitted to DEP that details how we got to $101 million, and that is all in. That is design funding, that is construction funding, that's construction admin services, everything total. So we have included in this, we are also sharing with DEP all of the developer obligations through development agreements, through CDD requirements such as Sunstone 2 that was approved just recently that obligates them to post a bond to help support this plant. So let's not forget, we're already taking some major steps as a city to take the burden off of existing customers. And so what we're looking at now is structuring to where development that needs this plant can now pay into reserving capacity in this plant so that we'll have cash in hand up front, therefore not having to overborrow or put the burden on our existing customers. And then as far as environmental impacts, there's no known permanent impacts. In fact, this alternative of building the new plant will eventually allow us to retire realistically 10 or 15 years from now. The Sunshine facility, which does have a couple of environmental factors worth considering, including being next to some wetlands. So with all that said, the alternatives are no build, we could do nothing, and then there is no additional capacity, and that's a scenario that we're going to talk about at the symposium coming up on Thursday. We could expand the Sunshine plant and attempt to modernize it. We see that as expending money that we're really not going to receive the return on investment versus building a new facility. And then building a new facility meets both immediate needs once it's open, as well as the long-term needs for the city to meet its obligations of what has been annexed into the city. So this is all revised from the previous presentation. The numbers did change a little bit. The construction amount went up about $6 million. So we now show it at $87 million for construction. We still see the design phase at being just under $10 million, and we will continue to refine our scope to see if we can even lower that amount, because we literally are already a year behind. We should already be designing this plant, and we haven't gotten past this stage of making it eligible for funding. So therefore, the sense of urgency. And then finally, I mentioned construction admin. When the project's actually under construction, you have to have a team of people on behalf of Groveland monitoring the construction over the 2.5-year period of construction, and that's a 5% factor of the total cost. So based on the Raftellus study that's in effect, the capital finance plan that's part of this planning document, the adoption of the development agreements that we've referenced, and I'll use examples recently like Bright Hill or Cypress Reserve. We currently are due about $10 million this coming year in prepayment of impact fees by developers that have development agreements that say you can't move forward without prepaying your wastewater impact fees because of the need for this project. So there's $10 million this year alone that's coming in on top of what would subsequently follow. So that revenue sufficiency is sufficient to be able to submit to DEP. They'll make the determination if they're comfortable loaning the money. And us asking as a city for a $9 million engineering loan, that's not the issue. They want to be able to see, are you really able to follow up and be able to borrow for the construction phase? And we're able to show that based on all the requirements that DEP has in the state revolving fund loan program, it appears that we do have revenue sufficiency to be able to show that we're a safe bet on providing a loan. So the schedule, we are right now August 17th at the public meeting. We hope to make the November meeting. If all goes well, we can get this back to them quickly. They are looking for reasons to dismiss or delay various cities and counties that are submitting for funding because they have more requests than they have money. So it's very important that we get this back in front of them quickly to keep this on schedule for the November hearing. And then we anticipate being able to move into design no later than December. Prefer to do it a little bit quicker, but that's right now, if we're just waiting on the funding, that's the current timeline. Once we begin design, it's an 18 to 24 month project. We intend to put 2 different engineering firms to work, and construction should begin, we hope, by the end of 2028. with completion in 2031. Now, at the symposium on Thursday, we're going to go over capacity issues, and one of the things that we will share with you, a little preview, is that both of our plants are projected to near capacity, which means more than 90%, around 2031. So this timing is very much important. So there is a graphic of the timeline to get to 2031 if we stay on schedule, and this will be a 1.5 million gallon a day treatment facility that could accommodate the equivalent of 6,000 homes. Or it may be lesser homes and a whole lot of industry or businesses, but the point is the equivalent of about 6,000 homes. So as far as action, council consider this facility plan readoption via the resolution before you. We will be coming back with an official loan application. So tonight, just the planning document. Once we're told that you're eligible for the funding, we'll ask you to approve an application to submit so that we will be on that hearing date and that we would likely at that point be awarded a design amount that they would be willing to loan and possibly even, not to overpromise, but we would hopefully be eligible for some level of grant funding throughout this process. We were hoping to do this as a true design build project, which is a lot faster, but because of the DEP process, they're wanting us to design, bid, and then build at the moment. So that's the mode that we're in. So because of that, after the funding is in place, or along the way, actually, we may come back to you with the contracts for the two engineering firms to begin design, not able to issue any task orders to put them to work until we have confirmed our funding plan for the design phase. So all that's still being worked on. You have not just me as staff, but a team that's helping make this happen and keeping us straight with the state as we do it. So that's as quick as I could cover a whole lot of stuff, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Amy Jo?
I have no questions at this time. We've done this before, so.
TJ, can you look at the resolution that you're asking us to vote on?
Easily. I would have to have it actually handed to me. I don't even have a hard copy of the resolution. What is the question?
In section 2 of that resolution, it says that we're hereby approving and adopting the facilities plans that was submitted July 30th, 2026 to the clerk's office. That was never submitted to me, and I've never seen a presentation on that, and I've never read it, and I'm sure it's not going to prove something I've never read. So you're asking for the ability to ask for a design loan, but the resolution is telling us we're adopting a plan that we haven't read yet.
Councilmember Jaycox, Mayor, members of council, this planning document's been public since the 1st of July, so I'm not really sure.
The resolution says the dated July 30th, 2026.
That's the date of the planning document that's before you tonight. We changed the date from the previous plan of June 30th. We made the changes per DEP.
What I'm saying is you never gave this to me to review and said that this was something that we had to adopt before we go farther. I understand that you want to get the loan for the design, and I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with approving a plan that no one has given me a proper presentation on that plan. And I haven't even read that plan, because that was really not what you were asking for. You were asking for this design loan, and all of a sudden now I have to adopt a plan I've never read?
Well, we're not jumping, sir, to the design loan yet. We're just approving the planning document. If you're saying you haven't read any of the Clean Water Facilities Plan, there's now 2 iterations, one June 30th and one July 30th. So I understand the comment. The implications of delaying it, I've already laid out. There are implications, but this is not a loan agreement tonight.
Do we have to approve this plan to move forward with getting a design loan?
Sir, we will not be offered a design loan from DEP without submitting this plan and having it approved.
You did not convey this to me as part of this council, that this is something that was crucial to moving forward with all this. I can't, in good faith, approve something that I have not reviewed.
I apologize if you were not given an opportunity to properly review. I've laid it out in front of the mayor and council for your consideration. If you choose to not take action on it tonight, There will be implications, but we can come back at the next regular meeting and have you consider it again.
Well, I would suggest that we table this and bring it up at the workshop that we're having on Thursday.
We can certainly discuss it. I'm just urging the council to take seriously. It's been 6 weeks since the original one was approved. We've done what DEP asked. We're trying, and I hate that word, we're attempting to keep us on track for this hearing. And another 3 weeks, if I could stay with a straight face, it doesn't matter, I would say that, but I'm concerned about our eligibility to even get a loan agreement back in front of you. We don't even have that yet. It's just got to get this planning document to them.
Well, we can have a special meeting just to approve this item after a workshop.
If that's the wishes of the council,
That's
I
an
defer
option.
to council.
I went over it with Tim. And it may be different, council members have different processes. I assumed we all went over the agenda with Tim the Thursday prior. And like Tim and I will go through each item and I'll read it through, and then if I have questions or if there's additional material, then I'll get with TJ before the meeting. So I don't know if each council member has a different process, but I just assumed we were all going through the packet ahead of time with Tim, so that if we did have questions like this, we had let the staff know and had met with the staff.
I think different have different. We haven't been able to have a meeting on Thursday in weeks. So then it's, Vice Mayor.
I don't have any comments at this time.
I have a whole list, I've sent it to you, that I'm confused on. And I guess my only question is, how credible do these numbers have to be to turn them in to get the plan back? Are we going to absolutely say that we're locked into the 2.1 million for operational with Woodard and Curran? There's a lot of stuff on here, $9 million of extra capital. There's all kinds of things I don't see any sub in detail on. I found this, and I'm sorry I didn't see it the first time. This stuff that I have came from page 442 to 447.
Thank you for reading it.
You know, and I love reading about snakes, and I love reading about soil, and I love reading about the reservations that used to be here and the archaeological things. But when I got to this, and it wasn't even in a format of to look at a financial thing, but my questions will be on Thursday, the capacities that you're just talking about. If we add, if we're up to 1.67 million gallons at the new Sampe plant, how many more houses is that? 6,000 more houses sounds like a lot, but if I look at what's going on the north side, that's not even going to take care of half of it, not even 40% of it. So for $100 million, we get less than enough to take care of Villa City and a lot of other things that are going up there. So that would need to be explained. There's just a lot of questions, even when I added up the alternative three with the operational and expected capital cost and the operational management cost for disposal alternatives, I came out to 103 million. And then my question is interest in here? Yeah, I know we say, oh, it's only 2%, but 2% on $100 million is a lot, you know? And is that factored in to this whole thing? And I know you're behind the eight ball, and I know we probably put you there, but the Raftella study was going to tell us a lot, right? On capacities and things that we can look at. The Thursday summit would really give us a chance to go through everything. I don't want to hold everybody up for hours talking about wastewater treatment, but I think we need to have an in-depth, and you need to educate us a little bit better on the capacities and what we're planning for and what's going to happen in the future. Because, I pencil it out at 48,000 people with what we got, so let's just go through it. And I'm sure my math is wrong, but it's, 43,000. And I know we're saying 48,000 by what, 2048? So I'm looking at how this works with a concurrency plan of 500 houses a year. And I'm looking at, we're at 175 so far this year, not near 500. And I just want to make sure that when we do it, we got as much money in the bank to keep that loan down, and that we can utilize this stuff from from the builders a little differently, so I mean, I love getting 10 million, but you take 10 million off of 103, you still got 93 million you got to finance, because they're not, right now, they don't let you string it out and use it in case of emergency, so a lot of questions, and
There's a lot of questions, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I would recommend that you wait until Thursday's symposium, literally 3 days away. We could always schedule a special meeting shortly after that, so that TJ's not running too much risk in terms of delays, because I also see it from his perspective too. There's risk with delays, but there's also risk in voting on things that you're not comfortable with. So I'd encourage us to work with the clerk's office, work with TJ, and identify a special meeting shortly after that symposium for y'all to take a vote.
And maybe if you could find it, I know how busy you are. We try to talk on the phone all the time. Maybe it's not Tim that we need to sit down and talk to, maybe it's you. That
I'm available.
Go
This is
through
important.
and just say, hey, this is the way I'm seeing it. How do you see it? Why do you see it different than I see it, you know?
Sure. So a couple of things, these planning level numbers, those are planning level numbers. Till we engineer this plant and get into brass tacks, that's when it's real. And we could talk about that further. I'll defer to the city attorney. This is an advertised public hearing, so any action tonight to continue it needs to be to a date certain. And if there is a special meeting contemplated, I'll have to defer the legalities of how that's going to work if you continue it tonight.
I can call a special meeting any
You
time.
can call a special meeting so long as it's properly advertised.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's, we want to put a date on it now? When's the
August
Thursday?
20th, this Thursday is the symposium.
We should have it when it goes out in public notice. Is it too early or too late? I thought on the mayor could call one with 2 days' notice, right? What's the notice required on a special meeting?
48 hours, 2 days?
Could be 48 hours.
Yeah, I think
but-
it's 48 hours, so we can put that out and then have the whole rigmarole and then say at whatever the end time, 5 o'clock or whatever, we bring this back for a vote, you know, to move forward.
Is there a requirement to be after 5 p.m., do you know?
No, none of this.
Okay.
Just a
So we
date
could do
certain.
the afternoon of the symposium, shortly after that. 3 days away.
We're all there anyway. I mean, we might as well get it.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you would have the special meeting this coming Thursday after the symposium.
It's
We have to put a
entirely
time
focused
on
on
it.
this topic
We have to
of
put
wastewater.
a time because you have to let the public know what time we're going to have that meeting, so.
Ginny, I believe the workshop/symposium starts at 10 a.m. on Thursday?
Yeah.
But I'm imagining, I like to say 2 hours, but you never know, right? But immediately following that, we could look at 1 o'clock, maybe enough time for a lunch break between the symposium, workshop, and the actual action item.
It's going to take 2 hours. We're going to have a lot of talks before Thursday.
I hope it doesn't take 2 hours if I do my job right.
Say 1:30? Is that what you want to put on it? That's the drop dead time?
I think 1:30 is a good time to look at. Rick, Ginny, are we okay with that on your side from legal in the clerk's office?
We're just trying to figure out the executive session and the timing with everything. Just bear with us one moment.
Yeah, so if this is at 10 a.m.
What time is the session posted at? 12:30? The closed session?
Yeah, so Tim, if, and council, 10 a.m. Is the symposium. We could change the executive session. We could put the special meeting at 12:30, and then at 1:30, you would have your closed session.
Works for me if it works for council.
For me.
So you're looking for a motion to table now?
Table, we have to have a motion.
Yes, let's do a motion to
And
table
advertise the special meeting.
to Thursday, whatever the date is, the 20th.
20th.
August 20th.
So a motion to table item 2026-54 until Thursday, the 20th.
No seconds? And I'll ask for another motion.
Hearing no motion, it dies on the table.
I'm,
No motion was made, so it doesn't move forward. There is no discussion, there's no nothing, it just doesn't move forward.
I'm just really confused. We had this discussion. We had the entire thing at our hands on June 30th. And I'm really confused why we didn't call TJ, sit down with him, have all of these questions answered before we voted on it the first time. And also, why we didn't do that in the last, I just feel like we're not doing our homework, and this has come up a few times where we get to a meeting and we have a whole lot of questions that we could have asked before the meeting and reiterated at the meeting, that's fine, but at least people could have had answers to them. At this point, we're just kicking the can down the road. But as opposed, the option at the moment is letting it die on the table. I will second it because it is rather important and we do need to get it done. So I will second Mr. Jaycox's motion.
I would just ask that if council members have a list of questions that we're getting with the city manager ahead of time, because then we could have just pulled this and then not had the staff present and then just to move it to, for him to re-present in 2 days.
I think Tim wants to say something on that.
Well, I'd also just recommend, if it's something very specific and you need a meeting with me and whoever is proposing this item, feel free to request that either through me or Lisa's office, and we'll get it scheduled for everybody.
Before the meeting,
We also want to make sure that you have the information that you need prior to taking a vote.
Before the meeting, I asked him to remove it from the agenda, but TJ needed to get it in an actual meeting, so that's why he did that little presentation there.
Yeah, and they've each answered questions for me last week when we got it, so that's why it's just frustrating to have it, to sit through it and then move it again, and it continuously happens.
So I'll apologize to you for going through and seeing this, and I'd ask you and you, what are the capacities? I'll ask you, I mean, yeah, it takes a while to get through 445 pages to get to the meat. It's in writing, not in financial form. But believe me, he got all my questions. He got my preference before the meeting. We don't come here to sandbag or to get anybody. We come here to get answers. I don't understand personally why we couldn't have had the symposium prior to this. We're going to have a Rath Stella study that comes out that could change everything. We've got a symposium that we can get answers on, but then we bring this up tonight to be voted on. It's ready, fire, aim, one more time. And there's the little things that keep killing us, and that's the kind of, I mean, I've got some really good questions, and I know you will too once you get all these facts in front of you. But for us not to say, whoa, wait a minute, when we're talking $100 million, for us not to say, let's just take a step back on $103 million would be irresponsible, and we wouldn't be taking care of our own fiduciary responsibility. That is just my opinion. Everybody should have their own. But this is the biggest thing that we're ever going to finance until the next plant that needs 6,000 more houses, which according to our thing is not that far down the road either, for another 100 million. These are things that we need to understand.
I appreciate that you submitted your questions before. Like, I have no way of knowing that unless you say it in this meeting, of course. So I do feel better that it was submitted to them. That is a good thing. Thank you for that.
Well,
if we could I just think if there's more than two council members, if there's two or more council members that have questions or an issue on an item, then it should be postponed to another meeting, because it's just at the start of the meeting, because we just waste staff's time, the public's time sitting through it just to move it, so.
Okay, so where are we? Do we have
There's a motion and a second to table this until after the symposium on Thursday.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Let's move forward with a vote.
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
There's no public comment on a procedural
Oh, I'm
matter.
sorry, public comment. I apologize.
Mayor, you do not need public comment on a procedural matter on a motion to table.
Oh, it's tabled, yeah, okay.
Tabling it.
Table, no public comment. I cannot go against the city attorney. I'm sorry, I love you like a brother, but I can't go against the attorney. So, oh, no, I wouldn't put that down to anybody.
Mayor, it's your prerogative, but
Thanks. So we're tabled. Now we're voting on the next motion.
We got to vote on the table, I think.
I do the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Solkowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Now, the next motion needs to be to have a special session. Mr. Gillett, please, city attorney, tell me the right verbiage.
Do we need to have another?
it was tabled to for a special
said that
meeting
it's
on
sufficient.
Thursday,
Oh, the
as was
time?
discussed,
Yeah,
as
the
I
time in
understood
there.
it.
Okay, got it. All right. We'll move on then to public comment. And public comment, let's just, we'll go back, and anybody that wants to talk about any questions on the proposal tonight on, we call it Avalon 2.0. There are several issues that still need to be settled. That's why it's called a framework. We have we have Woodard and Curran that needs to do a study to give to the DEP on how we'll handle the effluent that was going to the spray field, and we have a pipe that goes out to the other area, but we'll need to come back at the next meeting and ask for $65,000 for that. I would propose at the next meeting that $65,000 comes out of the Kroger money, because it's business to business, not tax. At some point, we're going to have to figure out what to do with that to activate that spray field anyway. So I wanted to put that out in case anybody was wondering what's going on with the spray field. There's two different plans going simultaneously. And then lastly, that the whole plan was put together to give us an ability to really re-energize downtown, because we'll have a hospital and a post-secondary school on one side and a hotel on the other, which starts getting us into the five major things you have to get restaurants and things down there. So that's where that goes. I would like to ask Mr. Maslow to put it in the notes that on this proposal, they bring together the P&Z and the Strategic Planning Committee to go through this as well, because there's some things on both of them that need to be looked at. And rather than going from one to the other, you guys need to have a workshop, get together and then work it out on all this, because we're on a time frame. We said we were going to have this done by the end of this year. MOA is next, right? MOA comes up after our next vote. Then we move on to due diligence. We have a time limit on the due diligence, so we don't run into things like hurrying it like we did last year, voting just before an election and then signing it after. And then we have it absolutely voted on, the final thing after the election for the next, the council to take care of, so that if there's any concerns there, they can take care of it. And that's the overall time limit. So I'll open now for.
So are you looking for consent, Mr. Mayor, to direct Tim to handle that?
Yeah, let's wait till Tim gets back.
Okay.
I don't like to consent people when he's not here. It's a bad practice. Okay?
Philip Fulmer.
Mayor, while we're waiting for this speaker to come up, I just want to ask the council to please not comment on pending litigation before the city.
So, okay, did we get that? Any pending litigation against the city, we will not comment on.
Thank you.
Correct. Thank you. Mr. Fulmer.
Couldn't hardly get up. I've been sitting so long.
At the next meeting.
Philip
it'll be in
Fulmer,
the beginning.
18500 Watercrest Court, Groveland. I was going to feed off the gentleman that did the presentation. I had a lot to say, and he got out of here, so I lost my train of thought. But I wanted to say that if I remember this correctly, back when this resolution was brought up, I don't know, a year or so ago, we were giving up a lot of taxes, a lot of impact fees, a lot of little things that add up to big things. And if I heard him right, he's given us and wanting to be a part of this city, and he's wanting to be bring some good things, hotels, resources that we need, necessities we need, hospitals and things, and so I definitely support it and ask that you consider it. And at the end of the day, I think we get the train station, even if it falls apart. Thank you.
That is correct. Thank you.
Chris Carroll.
Howdy, y'all. So I would like to say, Council Geller, I will...
Name and address or the...
Oh, Chris Carroll, my address is protected. Council Geller, I'm going to ask some rhetorical questions, though that requires that you guys don't answer. It's rhetorical. I've been accused of being condescending. That means I talk down to people sometimes. So, in regards to water, do any of you know what your current permit of use is? The answer is about 3 million gallons a day. Do you know where you're going to be, what's projected in the next 5 to 10 years? The answer for that is 6 million gallons a day. It's a lot of water. We're having issues with water, and I know for a fact that TJ and Mr. Maslow are working very hard to get those things fixed. But there is a timeline on these things because you have two separate things. You have construction for the water, and then you have the construction for homes and businesses that we're already approving, right? That are going to raise that permit of use. But if we put the growth before the infrastructure and they're not rising together, one is going to eventually outrun the other, and we can only afford for one to outrun the other. We can only afford for our utilities to outpace our growth. So I will ask, when it comes to our utilities, that we all just take the due diligence and time. That what was presented today was not something new. This is not out of left field, ladies and gentlemen. You've already approved it once. It had to go to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. It has now come back with their recommendations. You didn't have to go over a 440-page document. Maybe we could have just looked at what the new recommendations were so we could vote on that document we already approved plus recommendations, okay? It's just so we're all on the same page. You know, we have a lot of great things going forward. Our city is moving in the correct direction. When I first got here 5 years ago, we didn't seem like we had a proper direction, and now I think all of you are doing a great job moving us in the right direction. But remember, time is finite. There's one thing money can't buy, and that's more time. Make sure we're using ours wisely, okay? I have faith in all of you, and I hope to be speaking with you guys a lot more soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Laux.
Mayor, Council, Tim Laux, 623 Neptune. Mayor, I've got quite a bit. I looked over this proposed land swap memorandum. I've got 2 questions, 1 statement, and then some analysis that I did for it. And one question is, it's my understanding that the last council entered into a public-private incentive package. It was initiated by the former manager and approved by the previous mayor and council. It's my understanding these funds will be paid by the CRA. Is that correct? Okay. It's also my understanding the CRA doesn't have enough money to pay it, so we can't fulfill the obligation that they obligated us to do, hence the land swap. The statement I have an extremely difficult time understanding why in the world the city manager and his staff would recommend approval, then a mayor and a council of reasonable intelligence would vote to an agreement knowing full well that the city nor the CRA would ever be able to meet the obligation. We still have one member on this council that was on that previous council that approved it. I'm wondering if possibly she'd be able to shed a little rationale on what took place during that time, or is this just a thing of history that we're trying to correct again? I'll take that as no, okay. We'll just get to the land swap situation. Originally, the 530 residential units were scheduled for the downtown site. The current transportation and other infrastructure isn't sufficient to even think about handling that kind of residential housing. The tax revenue generated by those residential units will not offset the city's investment in the project, especially if the state's pending Amendment 3 passes in November. That brings me to page 2, paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. It's talking mainly about Carvana and Avalon's commitment to the city. I'd read that with extraordinary caution. It appears to me by reading this, Carvana and Avalon's intent is to remain actively involved in the downtown area's redevelopment. This must be clarified in detail and should not include any additional CRA economic incentive packages or publicly funded partnerships. The above paragraphs clearly indicate that Carvana and Avalon is attempting to create a non-compete clause for all the infill on the downtown redevelopment projects in Groveland. In essence, this serves as creating a quasi-governmental entity that monopolizes monetary benefits for a private company utilizing public dollars. So be very careful with that. Good example is Winter Garden in Orlando's Lake Ivanhoe redevelopment district. They're primarily controlled by one private entity. The entity, in turn, controls the lease prices, the business types, the size of the businesses, and even the public parking. You can also see references to this in pages 3, paragraphs 5 and 6, page 6, and paragraph 8. There again, they're all in there. There's a question about the Sampy Road spray field, what to do with the reject water. Well, actually, there's two things you can do with the reject water, and I've suggested this hundreds of times on completely deaf ears. You can rerun it through the plant until it's not reject anymore. Or you can spray it on the ground, and it goes to waste. And Groveland chose is to spray it on the ground. We do have 2 RIP sites located on 19. It can be put on those, which we get recharge credits, which help our CUP tremendously. Those RIP sites, I don't know what condition they are in now, but I know 10 years ago they were in horrible condition. They're probably going to need some rehab work. The other, the other option is you're involved in a regional park off Max Oaks Road. That's apparently phase 1 is open now. Those ball fields are going to take a tremendous amount of reclaimed water to keep them irrigated. I don't know what they're using now. I suspect they're probably using a well, which nobody else in Groveland can except the city. I don't understand that either. But anyway, build a storage tank there. You have lines running to it. As a matter of fact, I think they're just now being completed. You can store your reclaimed water there and use it on your fields. Mayor, I'm going to ask the council for more time so I can complete this.
30 seconds. Yeah.
Thank you. You can use that water there other than spray it on the spray field, especially during low demand periods in the wintertime. You can still use that on those fields. As a matter of fact, that property used to be the Claremont spray field for a long time, so the soil makeup is conducive to that. Transportation assumptions, the developers put in there that the city would provide any transportation issues, and the way it's written, it appears to me on Sampy Road or infrastructure issues. I've got a feeling on a project of this magnitude, there may be some requirements from the state on Highway 50 for turn lanes and this kind of business. That needs to be specified in the final memorandum of understanding. on it. Schools, like to see the developer better define the curriculum. And will these schools be privately funded or publicly funded facilities, or will they be completely private type schools, charter schools? And Mayor, that's really all I've got on it. I think it's a great compliment, especially to you, Mayor, to take this on to get Groveland out of a $25 million obligation that we can't meet. Eventually, if you didn't do that, they would have ended up suing us, and we would have probably ended up in a bankruptcy court at the end of the day if we don't end up there anyway. But
Thank you,
I'd like
Tim.
to thank
And
you for
let me
that.
just say that this is the framework. The memo of understanding will have a lot more detail than was presented today. We only had so much time. But definitely it'll be all public information before we move forward. But many of the concerns, I think, will be brought forward that you will be happy with, you know.
Okay. And I appreciate just be very careful of the involvement. And developers have a tendency to word things, oh, we'd love to be involved and we want to do this and that. And I think pretty soon they're in total control of your downtown area. I've seen it happen on 2 occasions.
Yeah. I have a developer that went over that with me, sitting right over there, and knows all the little print and everything,
Yeah.
and he's helping me out. Right?
Yes.
Thank you,
Mayor. I don't have anything else. Thank you for the extra time, too.
Thank you.
Proper.
It's late. I'm going to be short. I'm Bob Proper, 395 Catherine Lane. It's that wonderful time of year, political season. According to state statute 479, political campaign signs may not be placed on any state, county, or city right-of-way. They have to be placed on private property and only with the landowner's permission. Some people have worked very hard to secure properly the permission required for placing signs. Others who choose to try to run for office received a handbook from the city concerning the state statutes, and signs that are placed on private property can be removed by the landowner and their designation. I have permission to start removing illegally placed signs on private property. If you have questions about whether you have signs at that location or not, please feel free to see me after this. But signs cost money. I hate waste. I would rather see someone's efforts be put into the right locations and the right places. The signs that are placed on private property, right-of-way signs should be removed immediately. No signs should be placed on any right-of-way. But signs that are placed currently on private property, I have permission from the owners to start removing those signs. If I remove them, they will be placed in the trash. If that person chooses to remove those signs themselves, they can replace them at their own. I would very much appreciate those that wish to be leaders of our city to follow the rules and not just trash up our roadways. Thank you.
Boots Kimball.
I've come to find out that a lot of things have changed in this last week that I didn't know about before I wrote my speech. However, I am going to go ahead and read my speech because I put a lot of time into it. Good evening, councilmen and women, and Mr. Mayor. My name is Boots Kimball. My address is 21111 Sunridge Road, Groveland, Florida. I come to you for a second time with a bit more knowledge than before. One thing specifically, the scourge on our city, Sergeant Jarrell, GPS data could be used as evidence because he was in a city vehicle. He lost his qualified immunity there. He can't, and our chief He should have arrested him for it, and because he didn't, he was complicit. And because our city manager did not step up and do their job either, well, another complicit person. There was no call for service that day, so he clearly broke the law. There was no discussion, there was no question as to whether or not he did, and yet he's still patrolling. This is a serious problem for our city. Our modern police patrol trucks they're equipped with the most modern equipment, precise. They're calibrated regularly for precision. That is considered a police documentation of his speed. We do not need another law enforcement officer to have radared him. That wasn't required. We also had another officer that called in and asked, was there a call for service? That another officer just passed him. He moved, got out of his way. That's unacceptable. I've retrieved a lot of my information from the news, yes, but I have also done a lot of research into the Florida statutes and into the Constitution and what we have a right as citizens and taxpayers to demand from our city councils. I understand that our council is a two-part system, but our city manager at this point is as culpable and is unexcused. There should be a vote of no confidence, as well as this being a threat to our city, for our chief, who has literally held this whole council hostage at one point or another. And now also wishes to force us to pay for his retirement. He can't keep his house in order. He can't keep his department in order. He can't keep this city in order. He can't be here. You guys need to get a new city council, new city manager. I don't care how it gets done, but the taxpayers are tired. And I can promise you right now that with everything going on, Washington, let Washington hear this. We are a Grove community at heart, front porch pickers, and I personally, myself, will go and knock door to door to door, farm to farm to farm, to shut down any more growth in this city. We need to catch up with what we've already got going on, and we need to shut down any more obvious, y'all come on to our community. Y'all come on and bring your stuff here. We don't need the crime. We don't need the transplants. We don't need the BS. I do respect this council, most of you. I don't think I need to go into elaboration on the ones I don't. However, I am a pissed off citizen. I'm a pissed off taxpayer, and I plan to bring as many people to this council to raise hell with y'all until this is brought under control. And don't even get me started on the pregnant badge. She may be a real good girl. She might serve food to the homeless during Christmas. I don't care. Domestic violence in our law enforcement has no integrity and no place in the city of Groveland. Then where's the charm in that? Where's the community in that? Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Susan Ducey.
I'm Susan Ducey, 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard, Mayor and Council. As a retired registered nurse, I have an interest in studying and researching medical issues. And I'd like to come today to tell you that for the first time, the new flu shot has mRNA, modified RNA, in it. The modified RNA interferes with DNA, it can damage the DNA and it can make the body create more and more and more of spike proteins, which are artificial proteins in the body. It ruins the DNA and it also lowers the repair. We all have damaged DNA. Our body repairs that DNA. With this new flu shot and the mRNA that is in it, it reduces the ability of DNA to repair itself 85 to 90% of the time. In my opinion, this is a dangerous idea. It makes people continue to make toxins. It also sheds to other people. So when someone gets a flu shot and they talk to someone else, touch someone else, hold a baby, hug their grandchildren, hug their friends, they can shed that onto them. So even though they have not had the flu shot, they can get the toxins that came in the shot and given to that other person. So we're making people biohazards. As a senior citizen, please don't make grandma a hazard. Don't make grandma dangerous, please. We're getting ready to go into Thanksgiving and Christmas, and do we really want to shed all of these toxins onto other people? In my opinion, they should be taken off the market, and I am not going to tell people to not take it. I'm just saying, please do your due diligence. I have done many hours of research on it. I will not be taking the shot. I believe that it is dangerous, and it can spread to other people. I don't know how far it spreads. I know that in Australia, several years ago, they had a rat problem. I mean, millions of rats. And they made this shot that they gave the rat. The rat would touch another rat. That rat would get the poison. That rat touched another rat. That rat got the poison. And it took the rats out. So it came under control. I don't know how far this goes. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. I just know historically it has been done to spread from person to person to person. And I'm concerned about the safety of the people in Groveland, that we just don't be contaminating one another with toxins and that we don't accept them. So in my opinion, I will not take it. Please do due diligence if you do plan on taking it, and find out what the cost benefit is for taking it or not taking it. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jen Eastridge.
Jen Eastridge, my address is protected. So I know that the complaint just fell, the one where Ramsey is now suing the city of Groveland. And I know that some of us haven't had a chance to review it yet. So while I read this, I want you to remember who's supposed to be loyal to who, okay? Paragraph 57, on February 20th of 2026, Anita Grossi-Carver and the interim city manager, Maslow, informed the plaintiff that Amy Jo Carroll had reported a private conversation initiated by Keith Keogh. We're jumping. Paragraph 77, on April 1st of 2026, interim city manager Maslow informed plaintiff that Councilman Michael J. Cox had asked, how much longer are we going to allow Chief Ramsey to continue working at the city of Groveland? Maslow subsequently memorized that conversation in an email. We're jumping. Paragraph 100, on April 29th of 2026, the interim city manager Maslow informed the plaintiff that the defendant, which would be the city of Groveland, intended to initiate additional investigations based on the allegations made by me. Plaintiff asked Maslow whether he had any concerns regarding the plaintiff's performance. Maslow responded with absolutely not. The proposed investigation included allegations that the plaintiff attempted to drive his vehicle towards Eastridge following the council meeting. We're jumping. Paragraph 115, on June 29th of 2026, interim city manager Maslow informed the plaintiff that several investigations had effectively ended without finding any wrongdoing. Paragraph 116, Maslow further stated that the investigations appeared to result from the plaintiff's prior whistleblower complaints. Let me read that again. Paragraph 116, Maslow further stated that the investigations appeared to have resulted from the plaintiff's prior whistleblower complaints. 117, on July 9th of 2026, the plaintiff met with Maslow concerning discipline imposed upon a police sergeant after concerns were raised about an elected official, by an elected official. Plaintiff expressed concerns that the mayor was improperly inserting himself into the internal police department administration and disciplinary decisions, as well as attempting to create a purported bias for the plaintiff's removal. On July 14th, Maslow acknowledged that the repeated second guessing of the plaintiff's decisions suggested that certain members of the city council no longer wanted the plaintiff to remain as police chief. Maslow further stated that if the plaintiff were ultimately terminated, it would not be because of any performance issues. Maslow's telling Ramsey, if you're terminated, it's not because of anything that you did. Okay, cool. Defendant knew that the escalating investigations, interference with the plaintiff's command decisions, and efforts directly towards the plaintiff's continued employment were unrelated to any identified performance deficiencies. The interim city manager, Maslow, expressly advised the plaintiff that he had no performance concerns and later acknowledged that the repeat investigations appeared to be a result from the plaintiff's whistleblower complaint. Okay? So again, who's supposed to be loyal to who? And then I kind of find it funny. I ran this through ChatGPT because that's just something I like to do. It came back at 90 to 95% and was like pointing out certain paragraphs. But the part that I really got stuck on was page 28, and it's the kind of like the last page of his demands and what he wants back. So let me go ahead and read those to you. Order the defendant to remove, correct, or expunge any retaliation or unsupported employment records, investigating findings, disciplinary materials, or personal records resulting in the plaintiff's protected activity. Award reinstatement. Is he fired? No. So award reinstatement, front pay, or appropriate employment relief. Why are we doing that? Restore the plaintiff's full seniority, benefits, compensation, retirement rights, and employment privileges, and award the plaintiff all lost wages, benefits. Why? What's going on? So who's supposed to be loyal to who? Because last time I checked, he worked for you guys. He doesn't work for Ramsey. But according to Ramsey's complaint, which might as well be a sworn statement, he's the one that's turning everybody against Ramsey, and Ramsey against each and every single one of you.
Chris Walker.
Chris Walker, 304 Irvin Bend Drive. I want to make a couple of statements. One, on the Strategic Advisory Committee, let's make sure that we use the real stakeholders of Groveland as our citizens and taxpayers. If we already have a policy in place, we're not to change it no matter who comes to this podium and recommends that you change it for their friend. We are here based upon laws and policies that we need to keep in place. So I want to say that, number one. Number two, election season is upon us. And if you have to, I want to say to all of the candidates that are running, many of them that are running are never here. I want to say that publicly because I know people watch this. They are never in this room. They are never here. And even if they are here, they don't even speak out about anything. They get up and say nothing. So they want your vote without their voice. And we have to remember that in this city, we need people who are going to have a voice for us and fight for us and not just want to be on the ballot because it looks good to be on the ballot. That's number two. Number three, have you done a survey of all your police officers in your department to see how they actually feel about their boss? I don't think you have. I think you should, and maybe you'll find out that your officers are not happy working under your current police chief. That's number 3. I think that's number 3. Time. Let's make sure that we stick to time, because we're giving people, we're 5 minutes, and then we give one person 3 minutes over the 5, and we just keep extending it. And I guarantee you, if I said, give me another minute, I'm probably not going to get it. The Sampy project is a great project. I love it, okay? We need education. We need more education. Tech, primary, K-12 is a great opportunity. My only question is who's providing the water. Make sure the developers are taking care of all of that. The developers are taking a great risk, but it's a good risk that brings quality of life to the citizens of Groveland. It saves the taxpayers money. It gives the developers an opportunity to make a difference in Groveland. And so I think it's a great project that we definitely need to consider with hospital and ER and technology and just things that we don't have, and giving us an opportunity to make this 17 acres or whatever it is behind the train depot a great expansion of downtown. Because you know what? We have an old fire department and an old police department that will be wonderful as a plaza with restaurants overlooking the lake, with a boardwalk being built out, with an event center being built so that people in Groveland can have a place to have their parties and their special events. We need to take that opportunity to expand that growth of downtown from the old police and fire department on over to the post office, because they're leaving and moving, and on over to those 17 acres. It is a wonderful project. Kudos, mayor, council, whoever's involved, and making sure that that project happens. I also want to say something about the signs. I want to give a warning to Mr. Proper that he better make sure that he has legal authority to move any sign. Because number one, the city of Groveland does not control any county areas. You know how I know? Because I went through that with your last code enforcer, and the county had to tell you, and Mr. Maslow was here, that's when he first got here, you don't have jurisdiction over county areas. So make sure if you move a sign, you're ready legally to fight the fact that you touched an elected sign on a property that you do not control. Thank you.
David Griffiths.
I was sitting here tonight listening to y'all talk about the water.
David, name and address for the record.
Sorry, David Griffiths, 125 Villa City Road, Groveland. I was listening to y'all talk about the water and the money to get to there. How many businesses pay a large impact fee for this water treatment? And these businesses you're talking about coming down here to Avalon, I think would put a lot of impact money into the city of Groveland to help fund the water and some of the other stuff that you're wanting to do. I think that you need to look more at the businesses that are coming to town and maybe slow down the residential a little bit and try to build some infrastructure for the people that you're bringing to town. I mean, I just built a brand new shop and it wasn't cheap, but I'm not saying I didn't get what I wanted from the city of Groveland. Everybody worked with us. Everybody went out of their way to try to help us. We had to pay some impact fees, and it was expensive, but you know what? I think that's what y'all need to start looking at is maybe some more businesses and a little less residential, and I think that you might be able to generate more money for the things that we need to do to build more infrastructure for more housing. We need a hospital and the stuff that we're talking about, and definitely the schools. So I think that you're getting on the right path about that, but I think that we need to try to look at, there's not even a restaurant, well, there's a couple that into Groveland, but I'm just saying, you know, we need more stuff like that for the community, not just houses, okay? And I think that I think that if you would try to bring more businesses to town and work with them like you worked with me, I think that you could get a lot more money generated for what y'all are trying to do. I'm just putting that out there. I think that what y'all are doing down here, looking at businesses and developing that and swapping property and saving the county money is a smart venture. So I just wanted to give you all that. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
There's no further public comment.
Public comment, going to our comment, Mr. Jaycox.
I have a few things. I'd just like to remind everybody that as a city, we owe approximately $112 million in the utility fund already. And this proposal that was brought to us tonight looked to me like it was going to obligate us for another $103 million. So that would put it to $215 million just to the water company. And do you really expect the water rates not to go up to pay for that extra $103 million? They're going to go up a lot to pay for that, because right now the water rate is set on that $112 million. It's set to pay all the loans for that $112 million. So if we took another loan out for 103, we'd have to raise the rates to pay for that 103, because we don't have any budget for that. So all that in mind, I looked up the minutes from when TJ brought this to us before, and he said, I'll read it exactly. Mr. Fish explained that the resolution authorized the submission of a request for approximately $9 million to this SRF for design engineering for the building. Didn't he just say that he had to, now we had to approve the entire plan? And there's three alternatives in the plan. One, that we do nothing, and the other two, we spend $103 million. So basically the resolution said if we accepted that resolution, we were going to accept that $103 million today. And they're having they're supposed to tell us about this whole project on Thursday. So they're going to tell us after we vote. So for someone to sit there and say we should have known before we got here what we were going to vote on, that was out of line. Because obviously you didn't know you were going to vote for $103 million tonight. So that was not the question. It was to move the next step, and the next step wasn't to ask for the $103 million. So that's what I had to say about the utility. Sampy Road, I just want to remind everybody, we voted to not approve it until we saw the traffic. And we're going to look at the traffic, and the mayor suggested already some way of moving the trucks off of there. So nothing's been approved yet. We have to see the traffic study with that. TJ came up here tonight and he said that we haven't been able to buy a meter for 6 months. Why in the world did it take 6 months to get it to an agenda item for them to have a procurement to buy meters so they can continue doing that? That's unacceptable. That should never happen again. Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee was told that their ethics document that they're making is only going to apply to the City Council. That's not what the City Council agreed with when we told you guys to come up with this. It was for the City Council and all the employees, except for the ones who had union contracts, that we weren't allowed to impose anything. But it was for all the city employees. It just wasn't for the City Council. So I don't know where our lawyer got the idea that we thought it was just for the council.
May I respond, Mayor? I do not make the decisions for the Ethics Committee. I'm just counsel to the Ethics Committee, all right? That's number one. Number two, it will, as it is drafted right now, it will apply to this council. It will apply to all members of city boards. There was discussion that there is an employment manual that pertains to employees, and that provisions that would apply to employees should be in that manual. That to have employees have to sift through a bunch of material that does not apply to them, like voting conflicts and so on and so forth, it just made more sense to keep employees their obligations centralized in one location. That was the nature of the discussion on that.
I was told that, the only reason I brought it up is I was told that you told them it wasn't for the employees at all. And I asked, well, isn't there a section that would apply to them? And they said, yes, there would be in there. But I understand perfectly what you're saying, but the person on the board that spoke to me said it was like the discussion was shut down. And it was only for the council. So please, next time you meet with them, correct that.
Council member, I did not shut down a debate by
may I
anyone.
I didn't think you did. I didn't think you
I
did.
never would.
So, but I just bringing a concern about it.
I was at those meetings. It was not shut down. It was explained. If you have your policy, your ethics for, officials and certain boards, and you have a policy here for employees, you're hiring people on board, you're really talking about two different things. Some of the things, may be in the employee handbook, but you can't have something for boards trumping employees. You're talking about two different disciplinary types of things. The employees do not come before a board. It's something done operational with the city manager and HR, and we explained that. They were not shut down. We explained that. So you would have a conflict. You could possibly have, if you go by the ethics committee and you try to reprimand an employee, they could come back with the policy when they were hired. You're going to have lawsuits. You have to look at it, in a different way. There are things that are applicable to employees, but it doesn't always mix in with boards.
I understand that. The only thing I ask you to do is to clarify with the committee that this is not an ethics committee for just the council. It is for the council and every committee that is under the Sunshine Law.
Correct.
That was explained.
And we should look at putting it into the employee book if it's applicable to the employee book.
And in fact, there are things that are applicable to employees. For example, someone involved in procurement should not be
right,
favoring, the nephew's business or something like that. I mean, there are definitely instances, and maybe this is something that, and the committee would need more time to address employees separately. We would need a separate analysis of the employee handbook, and the committee could go through that and look at the ethics provisions that should apply to employees. But my suggestion would, in fact, be to have it in that employee handbook, have it in one place. Maybe we do need an ethics portion there.
Thank you. I would like to ask Tim if he could put those QR codes from the domestic violence things up on the city webpage so everybody can get at them.
Of course.
Okay. I'd like to remind everybody to get out there and vote tomorrow. So I'd also like to remind everybody, next meeting, 6:30. Thank you.
I attended the Florida League of Cities annual conference this past week. Some of the hot topics there, well, I did a 4-hour ethics course, which I always prefer to do in person. I feel like we get way more out of it that way. We talked about land use and growth, communicating with residents, and shared ideas on how to do that more effectively. AI came up a lot. How social media is influencing government came up a lot. And then Amendment 3, of course. So those are the things we were talking about, sharing ideas with other cities, how we've solved certain conflicts and getting ideas from them on how they have solved things that maybe we're looking at right now. And that's all. Thank you.
So on Thursday, we are doing a workshop symposium. Then we are doing a special meeting. And then we are doing a closed meeting. If you make it through all of that, we're having an after party. It's called a huddle. And it's going to be at 6 o'clock. Food trucks come. 7 o'clock, the huddle happens at Trinity Lakes Clubhouse in Groveland. The mayor is doing a state of the city update. We have a city manager search update, utilities update, road improvements update, and an ethics committee update. So hope to see everyone there.
Vice Mayor?
Over the last several months, there has appeared to be a pattern of when it comes to public comments of not addressing what we have done for the community. My question is, it's a rhetorical question, but when did we get away from letting our constituents know, either in this room or on South Lake TV, what we are doing for them? This is not just an ish session. They need to know what we are doing. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you all know a little bit about what I'm doing. I didn't bring my calendar in, but I just want to say that I attended Congressman Webster's retirement thank you event. Also, I met with the finance director and the procurement manager to talk about strengthened procedures, and also went to the Friends of the Library. There was to be a brainstorming session, but not so much. But those are the three things that I can remember. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have a lot, except, I'm going to say October 10th. What is it?
Gala.
The gala. We'll be putting out, we've got some great sponsorships, and we're going to put that out so that everybody can help support those sponsors. But those tickets are now available online. We expect, I'm looking at 5 or 6 people that could buy a table or two. And if you don't, yeah, don't be laughing. I was talking about you. We had great kickoffs with the high school football teams and the Pop Warners and all that. If you get a chance to go watch the Pop Warner kids on Saturday, it is unbelievable. One, they're growing the big kids bigger than they did when I was going, but the little kids running around and playing football is something that's better than watching Seinfeld. I tell you, you'll get a real kick out of it. And then lastly, I hope we can keep this downtown refurbishment on track, and I hope we can keep it in a positive section. One, it addressed right away, 94 houses versus 530. That's a trend this year, 5,400 houses down to 2,900. All that has been done by creating relationships rather than bargaining. The man that stood up here today from Switzerland is the top guy, Mr. Netzer, who's the CEO of Eisenhower, who says, we're going to give you $75 million to do an interchange, and we're going to take, 2,500 houses off the table because we understand, that you don't want the high density. The reason that we want to support hospitals, hotels, and things is because if Title III or Amendment 3 goes through, we're not going to be getting property taxes much longer, and those property taxes are going to have to be made up by commercial. And so for a long time, this city has been on rooftops. We've got to switch 180, even if it doesn't go through, because it takes $1.13 according to the county, but really when we make $18 million on taxes and we spend $35 million, it's more like double that we're paying for services. Whereas on a commercial, we spend 33 cents out of every dollar. So it's the other way around. We need to get commercial. The only way you get commercial is by having great education, healthcare. First thing if you want to move some kind of headquarters here, clean energy here, you need to say, we've got this kind of education, we've got this kind of healthcare. That's what the first thing the people ask for, the companies ask for. So any support while you're out there, please let everybody know that this is a framework. You'll be getting a lot of updates in the next 3 months as this moves forward. You'll have a lot of opportunity to put items in, but we cannot infill the downtown without recession-proof businesses on each side, like a hospital and like a hotel, that's going to cater to the regional park. And also, there's $8 million a year that comes to Lake County, 6 to 8. That goes for, they call it tourism tax rebates. We don't have one hotel room, so we get none of that. It goes to Claremont, where right now our people that are playing in the softball field are staying. We're making them rich. We're making everybody else around us rich. We need to get this done so we can start making money to take care of that field that the county gave us. So with that said, please, let's stay positive on it. It's not going to be voted on until the final vote, till after the new council comes in, so there's none of this rush going on, and nobody can say it's being done behind anybody's back. It's right now public. Appreciate all the leeway that we got. Appreciate the last council that voted on renegotiating that deal and seeing forward that we had to do that. But with that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, didn't you want to get a consensus from us to have the city manager?
Oh, yeah, he's back now. We need consensus to have the city manager put on the agenda, the next agenda, a vote for the $65,000 to do the research and study to get the spray field ready for the DEP decision.
Of course, we expect to have that study in draft format by the end of day tomorrow. I'll be sharing that out with each of you and prepared to go over in our one-on-one briefings and then prepare for the next council meeting. September 8th is, I believe, the next day after Labor Day.
Thank you, sir. And the floor is yours.
I emailed my report out to everybody earlier today. Happy to speak to that if you'd like. We are in the midst of budgeting season, so I appreciate everyone for the one-on-one briefings last week. Thought they were very fruitful. Some of you all missed the briefings, unfortunately, so we do have to reschedule. Some of you are out of town, so we do understand that. And the time that we missed, it gave me an opportunity to sit down with finance and reviewing the budget, reviewing our capital improvements plan. There's a lot in there that I don't think necessarily lines up with our sequencing and prioritization. We're having conversations with staff on this. We tallied up about $4.8 million worth of cuts. We plan on going over that with you at the next meeting. A lot of that was with fleet, conservation, land acquisition, beautification projects. Not bad projects, but we're going to pump the brakes and do a series of studies just to analyze before we start spending money. Some of those changes, capital improvements planning is 5 years. It's a friendly reminder. So we're kicking some of these items to at least year 2 to allow us some time to do some studies. In light of the property tax update, in light of council's direction on staying at that 5.7 rate, looking at a scenario at the 5.6 rollback, we're very confident that when you receive the new books come this Thursday and have a higher level overview, I think you're going to be very confident going into this budget season. You have August 25th coming up as well, so that's the following week. That's a Tuesday at 5:30. That's your last budget workshop prior to September 16th, September 21st are your budget hearings. Our goal is to be on the same page with our budget after August 25th. That said, you also have a meeting coming up with the CRA on August 24th. That'll give you another chance to review the CRA budget. And you also have 2 rate studies, both by Reftelis. One is with the utility rates that you requested. That's on September 3rd, along with our impact fee study for non-utilities. So you'll be seeing both of those presentations before you take ultimately action on the budget. I want to commend Chris Williams, our new CFO in the Finance Department. This is truly a team effort. Mike Fitzgerald, our finance consultant. You'll see a lot of clean accounting, we're calling it, making it very easier, maybe not very easy, but easier to understand if you're on council or the general public in terms of how the general fund is structured, accounted for, how that lines up with our millage rate, what's going to operating, what's going to CIP. And we're also looking at a couple other improvements, enhancing the city's cash reserves for emergencies, giving the option to pay down some of the higher interest debt, and cash flowing capital improvements. There's no debt, no new debt proposed on the city's general fund this year. So there's some wins we look forward to going over in detail in these upcoming workshops. But I also want to commend, of course, the mayor and council on providing staff this direction. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
Mayor, may I have a consensus of the council that the Ethics Committee should look at ethics provisions in the employee handbook and bolstering them as the committee deems fit?
Yes, with one statement, because I helped do the Ethics Committee for a big theme park down here. And make sure that you're not putting your policies and procedures in the ethics book. The ethics book is a little different in how you behave and stuff than sometimes policies and procedures get in there, and you'll need to change them at a later date. But just when we're talking about the difference between like procurement and board and stuff like that, just be careful about not putting any policies and procedures in there. Okay.
Not putting policies and procedures in the employee handbook?
In the ethics, in your ethics policy.
In the ethics policy. Well, the ethics committee is looking at procedures for potential discipline if someone is breaking ethics rules. There has been considerable discussion about that. And so, but everything they recommend will come to you, and you can accept it, you can reject it, you can modify it as you all deem fit. Okay. May I just address one other thing?
Did we get consensus?
Yeah, I think, yes, all the heads shaking, so I appreciate that. And I'll take that back to our next Ethics Committee meeting. We may need to come back to you and ask for an enlarged mandate because I think their report is due to you at the end of August or September. I'll need to check. We may need some, I'm sure we're going to need some additional time till September. We'll need some additional time. Let me just talk about parliamentary procedure quickly. I've been working with parliamentary procedure for many years. I know this book better than I care to. And the city code says, section 2-92, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, shall govern the deliberations of the city council, except when in conflict with the terms and provisions of this division. I mean, you all get to set the rules. And so if you don't like a parliamentary decision decision or recommendation, I should really say, the mayor, the presiding chair can overrule me. The entire council can overrule me. Okay, it is your prerogative to do that. In the case tonight, when you lay something on the table, so you have something under consideration and you lay it on the table until Thursday is what was determined here. And so a motion to lay on the table, this is on page 398 here, motion to lay on the table is undebatable because its legitimate purpose would be defeated if it were debatable. And then on page 217, since the motion to lay on the table can be neither debated nor amended, the chair puts it to a vote immediately. And so you cannot have public comment on something of a procedural nature like that because it then conflicts with Robert's rules. All right, so again, I'll do this any way that you all want, but I'm really trying to adhere to what the rules would require.
Thank you for that. Okay, I guess that's everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.